There comes a point in life when you get tired of chasing people who never truly choose you. You get tired of waiting for replies, begging for attention, explaining your heart, and breaking your peace just to keep someone close. You begin to realize that the more you run after people, the further you move away from yourself. This audiobook is not about becoming selfish or cold. It is about coming back to your own life. It is about protecting your energy, rebuilding your confidence, and finally giving yourself the love, focus, and effort you kept giving to others. Because your life will not change when someone finally values you. Your life will change when you finally value yourself. So before this audiobook begins, ask yourself one honest question. How much of yourself have you lost while trying to be chosen by others? If this message speaks to you, stay until the end, subscribe for more powerful full audiobooks, and write in the comments, "I choose myself first." Because from today you are no longer chasing people, you are building yourself. Chapter 1. The moment you stop chasing, you start seeing clearly. The hardest truth about chasing people is that it does not just make you tired, it slowly makes you blind to your own value. Because when your heart becomes obsessed with being chosen by someone else, your mind begins to ignore every sign that proves you are choosing the wrong place to pour your energy. You start explaining away things that should have been enough to make you step back. You start accepting little pieces of attention as if they are real love. You start calling confusion a connection. You start calling inconsistency a busy life. You start calling emotional distance a phase, and slowly you become the person who keeps waiting outside a door that was never truly opened for you. This is why the first step in focusing on yourself is not building a new life immediately. It is opening your eyes and seeing clearly where your life is being drained, because you cannot rebuild yourself while you are still pretending that the people who break your peace are somehow part of your healing. When you stop chasing, you begin to notice who only remembers you when they need comfort, who only respects you when you are silent, who only keeps you close when you are useful, and who only gives you attention when they feel you pulling away. And that clarity may hurt for a moment, but it is the kind of pain that saves you from wasting years in the wrong direction. You begin to understand that not every person you love is meant to walk with you. Not every person you helped is capable of helping you. Not every person you forgive deserves unlimited access to your heart, and not every connection that feels familiar is healthy enough to remain in your future. The truth is, chasing people teaches your soul a dangerous habit. It teaches you to place your worth in someone else's hands, and once you do that, your peace rises and falls with their mood. Your confidence depends on their response. Your happiness waits for their attention, and your entire emotional world becomes controlled by people who may not even know how deeply their distance affects you. But the moment you stop chasing, you take that power back. You stop waking up and checking who ignored you before checking how you feel. You stop measuring your value by someone's reply. You stop overthinking why they changed, why they left, why they became cold, why they stopped caring. And you finally begin to ask a more powerful question. Why did I keep abandoning myself for people who made me feel unwanted? That question is painful, but it is also the beginning of freedom, because the day you stop asking why they did not choose you and start asking why you kept choosing people who made you doubt yourself, you move from weakness into awareness, and awareness is where every real transformation begins. Some people will never give you closure, but your clarity can become your closure. Some people will never explain why they treated you the way they did, but your self-respect can become the explanation you needed. Some people will never apologize for the way they made you feel small, but your decision to stop giving them power can become the apology you give to yourself. Focusing on yourself first means you no longer wait for someone else to become honest before you become free. You no longer wait for someone else to value your presence before you value your time. And you no longer wait for someone else to stop hurting you before you finally decide to protect your own peace. At first, this shift may feel lonely, because when you stop chasing people, the noise around you becomes quiet. The messages slow down, the fake connections fade, and the people who were only attached to your availability may begin to disappear. But do not mistake that silence for emptiness, because sometimes silence is the sound of your life being cleaned. Sometimes the people who leave were not your loss, they were your lesson. Sometimes the distance that hurts you today is the space your future needed. Sometimes the person you keep trying to hold on to is the very person your stronger self is trying to release. You must understand that the life you want cannot grow in the same emotional environment that keeps breaking your peace. Just like a seed cannot become a strong tree if it is constantly pulled out of the ground, and you cannot become confident, disciplined, focused, and whole if your heart is always being dragged back into confusion. When you stop chasing, you start seeing your time as valuable again, and this is important because every hour spent begging for attention is an hour stolen from your own growth. Every night spent overthinking someone's cold behavior is a night stolen from your healing. Every day spent trying to prove your worth is a day stolen from the future you were supposed to be building. You were not born to spend your life convincing people to love you correctly. You were not born to keep reducing your standards so people can stay comfortable. You were not born to turn your heart into a waiting room for people who come and go whenever they feel like it. You were born with a life of your own, a mind of your own, a purpose of your own, a future of your own, and the more you chase people who do not see that, the more you delay the person you are meant to become. So let this chapter be the turning point. Stop running after the people who only make you feel valuable when you are useful. Stop begging for attention from people who make love feel like a test you keep failing. Stop trying to earn a place in the lives of people who never truly made space for you. The moment you stop chasing, you start seeing clearly, and once you see clearly, you cannot go back to living blindly. You begin to see that peace is not found in being chosen by everyone. Peace is found in no longer abandoning yourself for anyone, and the strongest version of you begins the moment you choose your own growth over someone else's inconsistent attention. Chapter 2. Stop losing yourself for people who are not building you. One of the most painful things you can ever realize is that some people did not enter your life to help you grow. They entered your life to keep taking from the version of you that did not yet know how to protect yourself. And because you were kind, because you were loyal, because you believed in people's potential more than their actions, you kept giving them access to your heart long after their presence had stopped giving you peace. You may have called it love. You may have called it patience. You may have called it loyalty. You may have told yourself that good people do not give up easily, but deep inside you knew that something was changing, because every time you stayed where you were not valued, a small part of you became quieter, a small part of your confidence became weaker, and a small part of your inner light began to dim. This is how losing yourself happens. It does not always happen suddenly. It happens slowly, in moments where you choose someone else's comfort over your own truth, in conversations where you swallow your feelings just to avoid conflict, in nights where you cry quietly but still reply kindly in the morning, in relationships where you keep giving understanding to people who never try to understand you. You start changing your natural self just to keep people close. You become less honest because honesty might upset them. You become less expressive because your feelings were called too much. You become less ambitious because your growth made them uncomfortable. You become less joyful because their mood controlled the atmosphere. You become less confident because they made you feel like asking for respect was asking for too much. And then one day you look at yourself and wonder where the real you went. You wonder why you feel so tired around people you once loved. You wonder why your mind feels heavy after every conversation. You wonder why you keep missing a version of yourself that used to feel alive, hopeful, focused, and strong. The answer is simple, but it is not easy to accept. You were giving your life to people who were not building you. Some people will enjoy your kindness but never protect it. Some people will love your support but never support your dreams. Some people will praise your loyalty but never become loyal to your peace. Some people will keep taking your forgiveness as permission to repeat the same behavior. Some people will call you important only when your presence makes their life easier. But when it is time to show up for your pain, your healing, your growth, or your future, they suddenly become too busy, too tired, too distant, or too careless. And you must finally ask yourself with honesty, how long will you continue giving your best energy to people who are not helping you become your best self? Because your life cannot rise while your soul is tied to people who keep pulling you back into doubt. Your confidence cannot grow while you keep surrounding yourself with people who make you question your worth. Your peace cannot become strong while you keep giving emotional access to those who treat your heart like something they can enter and leave whenever they feel like it. You cannot build yourself while constantly shrinking yourself for people who are not building anything meaningful inside you. This is why focusing on yourself first is not a selfish decision. It is a necessary decision. It is the moment you stop confusing emotional attachment with real connection. It is the moment you stop mistaking history for destiny. It is the moment you stop believing that just because someone has been in your life for a long time, they deserve to remain in your future without growth, respect, effort, or accountability. Some people are familiar, but they are not healthy. Some people are close, but they are not safe. Some people are present, but they are not supportive. Some people know your story, but they do not honor your soul. And when you keep choosing those people over yourself, you teach your heart that pain is normal, confusion is normal, being ignored is normal, being drained is normal, being half-loved is normal, and slowly you stop expecting the kind of love, respect, and peace that your life actually deserves. But listen carefully. You do not need to hate people to outgrow them. You do not need to become cruel to create distance. You do not need to explain your entire pain to people who benefited from your silence. Sometimes your greatest act of self-respect is not arguing, not proving, not begging, not forcing understanding, but quietly deciding that you will no longer hand your energy to anyone who keeps returning it as pain. There are people who are only connected to the version of you that tolerated too much. They do not want the healed you. They do not want the focused you. They do not want the disciplined you. They do not want the peaceful you. They do not want the version of you that says no, sets boundaries, protects time, walks away from disrespect, and refuses to keep bleeding for relationships that never learned how to handle your heart with care. That is why some people will become uncomfortable when you start focusing on yourself. They will say you changed. They will say you are acting different. They will say you are too serious now, too distant now, too proud now, too focused now, too difficult now. But what they are really saying is that you are no longer easy to control, no longer easy to access, no longer easy to guilt, no longer easy to use, and no longer willing to abandon yourself just to make them feel secure. Do not apologize for that. Growth will offend people who were comfortable with your weakness. Healing will confuse people who only knew you through your wounds. Boundaries will feel like betrayal to people who benefited from you having none. And self-respect will look like arrogance to people who expected you to keep choosing them while they kept neglecting you. But you must keep going, because the life you are trying to build will require a stronger version of you, and that stronger version cannot be created while you keep giving priority to people who drain your mind, distract your purpose, weaken your standards, and pull you back into old emotional patterns. Think about how much time you have already lost overthinking people who were not overthinking losing you. Think about how many nights you spent wondering what you did wrong while they slept peacefully after making you feel unwanted. Think about how many chances you gave to people who never used those chances to grow, but only used them to learn how far they could go without losing access to you. Think about how many dreams you delayed because your heart was too heavy to move forward. Think about how many times you said, "I will focus on myself now." But then one message, one memory, one apology, one small sign of attention pulled you back into the same cycle. This is where you must become honest with yourself. You cannot keep calling it love if it keeps making you lose yourself. You cannot keep calling it loyalty if it keeps destroying your peace. You cannot keep calling it patience if it keeps teaching people that your boundaries are negotiable. You cannot keep calling it hope if it keeps trapping you in a life where you are waiting for someone else to become who they have repeatedly shown you they are not ready to be. Hope is beautiful when it builds you, but hope becomes dangerous when it keeps you chained to people who have no intention of growing with you. And sometimes the most painful truth is this: The person you keep waiting for may never become the person you need them to be. They may never love you the way you love them. They may never respect the sacrifices you made. They may never understand how much you carried. They may never realize how many times you broke your own heart trying to keep the connection alive. But your life cannot remain on hold until they understand. Your healing cannot wait for their apology. Your growth cannot wait for their maturity. Your peace cannot wait for their change. Your future cannot wait for people who are not building one with you. So bring your focus back. Bring it back from the people who only give you mixed signals. Bring it back from the conversations that leave you feeling small. Bring it back from the memories that keep pulling you into old pain. Bring it back from the desire to be chosen by people who made you feel like you had to earn basic respect. Bring it back from every place where your soul keeps bleeding quietly. Put that focus into your own life. Put it into your morning routine. Put it into your health. Put it into your mindset. Put it into your confidence. Put it into your discipline. Put it into your work. Put it into your dreams. Put it into becoming someone your future self will thank you for. Because the energy you waste chasing people could become the energy that builds your new life. The time you waste overthinking someone's behavior could become the time that sharpens your mind, strengthens your body, improves your skills, grows your income, deepens your purpose, and rebuilds the peace you lost while trying to hold on to what was never holding you properly. You must stop believing that focusing on yourself means you are giving up on love. No, focusing on yourself means you are giving up on losing yourself. It means you are no longer willing to destroy your own peace just to keep someone else comfortable. It means you are no longer willing to carry relationships alone. It means you are no longer willing to pour your heart into people who only bring empty hands. It means you are finally mature enough to understand that love without respect is not enough. Connection without effort is not enough. History without growth is not enough. And attachment without peace is not enough. The people who truly belong in your life will not punish you for becoming stronger. They will not disappear because you gained boundaries. They will not make your healing feel like a crime. They will not require you to stay broken so they can feel needed. They will not ask you to choose them by abandoning yourself. The right people will build with you, not drain you. They will bring peace, not constant confusion. They will respect your time, not waste it. They will support your growth, not fear it. They will make your soul feel safe, not make your mind feel exhausted. And until those people arrive, you must become strong enough to stop accepting the wrong people just because you are afraid of being alone. Because being alone while building yourself is better than being surrounded by people who keep breaking you down. Being alone with peace is better than being connected through pain. Being alone with purpose is better than being loved in a way that makes you forget who you are. Being alone while becoming stronger is better than staying close to people who only recognize your value when you are about to leave. So let this chapter enter your heart deeply. You are not here to be everyone's emotional home while having nowhere safe to rest yourself. You are not here to keep pouring into people who never pour back into you. You are not here to keep proving that you are worthy of effort. You are not here to spend your life begging people to build with you when they are committed to staying the same. You are here to grow. You are here to heal. You are here to build a life that finally feels like yours. And the first step is simple but powerful. Stop losing yourself for people who are not building you. Choose the people who bring you closer to peace. Choose the habits that bring you closer to strength. Choose the discipline that brings you closer to freedom. Choose the dreams that bring you closer to purpose. Choose the version of yourself that no longer begs to be valued, because it has finally learned how to value itself. When you focus on yourself first, the wrong people lose their power over you. The right people begin to find the real you, and your life slowly becomes a place where your soul can breathe again. Chapter 3. Your energy is your future. One of the greatest mistakes people make in life is believing that their future is only built by money, opportunities, talent, relationships, or luck. But the truth is that your future is first built by your energy, because whatever receives your energy long enough begins to shape your thoughts. Whatever shapes your thoughts begins to control your choices. Whatever controls your choices becomes your habits, and whatever becomes your habits eventually becomes the life you wake up inside every single day. This is why you must become very careful with where your energy goes, because your energy is not just a feeling. Your energy is not just your mood. Your energy is not just whether you feel happy or tired today. Your energy is the hidden fuel behind your focus, your discipline, your confidence, your decisions, your ambition, your patience, your creativity, your healing, and the strength you need to keep becoming the person you were meant to become. When you keep giving your energy to people who confuse you, you are not simply feeling confused for a moment. You are training your mind to live in uncertainty. You are teaching your heart to wait for peace from places that keep disturbing it, and you are slowly building a version of yourself that cannot move forward because too much of your inner power is trapped inside someone else's behavior. When you keep giving your energy to people who ignore you, you are not simply waiting for a reply. You are slowly teaching your self-worth to depend on attention. You are making your peace rise and fall with someone's response. You are handing your emotional stability to people who may not even understand the responsibility of holding it. And one day you realize that a message can change your mood more than your own dreams can. When you keep giving your energy to people who drain you, you are not simply being kind, you are sacrificing the strength you need for your own growth. Because every conversation that leaves you empty takes something from the future you are trying to build. Every emotional cycle that pulls you back into pain steals focus from your purpose. And every connection that keeps you mentally exhausted makes it harder for you to become disciplined, clear, and powerful. This is why focusing on yourself first is not just a motivational idea. It is a life strategy. It is the decision to stop wasting the most important fuel of your existence. It is the decision to understand that the same energy you are using to chase people could be used to rebuild your body, sharpen your mind, improve your skills, strengthen your confidence, heal your heart, build your income, deepen your purpose, and create a life that no longer depends on who chooses to stay or leave. Many people say they do not have time to change their life, but the truth is that they have given too much time to the wrong things. They say they do not have energy to work on themselves, but they have spent their energy overthinking people who are not thinking about them. They say they do not have focus to build something meaningful, but they have trained their focus to stay attached to drama, memories, opinions, rejection, comparison, and people who only bring emotional noise. They say they are too tired to grow, but much of their tiredness comes from carrying connections, expectations, conversations, and emotional battles that were never meant to be carried for so long. You must understand that your life becomes heavy when your energy is scattered in too many directions. A part of you is still stuck in the past, wondering why certain people changed. A part of you is still chasing approval, hoping someone finally sees your value. A part of you is still holding anger toward people who never apologized. A part of you is still waiting for closure from someone who may never be mature enough to give it. A part of you is still comparing your life to people who are only showing you the surface of theirs. A part of you is still trying to keep everyone happy, even when your own heart is exhausted. And then you wonder why you feel tired even when you have not done anything physically difficult. You feel tired because your energy is being spent silently. You feel tired because your mind is running in circles. You feel tired because your heart is carrying unfinished conversations. You feel tired because your peace is being rented out to people who never planned to protect it. This is why you need to call your energy back. Call it back from the people who only give you anxiety. Call it back from the memories that keep reopening old wounds. Call it back from the need to be understood by people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Call it back from the desire to prove your worth to people who already made up their minds. Call it back from every place where your soul has been waiting for permission to be free. Your energy belongs to your future now. It belongs to the version of you that is tired of repeating the same emotional cycle. It belongs to the version of you that wants to wake up with a clear mind, move through the day with purpose, sleep at night with peace, and look in the mirror with respect instead of regret. It belongs to the version of you that no longer wants to be controlled by who texts, who leaves, who judges, who doubts, who claps, who criticizes, or who refuses to understand. The moment you begin protecting your energy, your life begins to change in quiet but powerful ways. You stop reacting to everything. You stop explaining yourself to everyone. You stop giving instant access to people who have not earned it. You stop treating every opinion like a command. You stop treating every rejection like a final judgment on your worth. You stop treating every silence like a punishment. You stop treating every ending like proof that you are not enough. And slowly you begin to feel something you may not have felt for a long time. You begin to feel yourself returning. You begin to feel space in your mind again. You begin to feel strength in your decisions again. You begin to feel peace in your body again. You begin to feel your dreams waking up again, because your energy is no longer leaking into places that were never building you. There is a reason why people who finally focus on themselves become almost unrecognizable after some time. And it is not because life suddenly became easy for them. It is because they stopped spending their best energy on emotional survival and started using it for personal transformation. They stopped begging for attention and started building discipline. They stopped chasing people and started chasing growth. They stopped overthinking someone's behavior and started studying their own patterns. They stopped asking why people hurt them and started asking what they needed to heal inside themselves. They stopped trying to be chosen and started becoming someone they were proud to be. That is the shift that changes everything. Your energy is powerful, but it needs direction. If you do not direct it toward growth, it will be pulled toward distraction. If you do not direct it toward healing, it will be pulled toward pain. If you do not direct it toward purpose, it will be pulled toward people who know how to consume it. If you do not direct it toward your future, it will be dragged back into your past. This is why you must wake up every day and ask yourself a serious question. Where is my energy going today? Is it going into building the life I want? Or is it going into replaying old conversations? Is it going into becoming stronger? Or is it going into checking who ignored me? Is it going into learning, creating, improving, and growing? Or is it going into proving myself to people who do not even know themselves? Is it going into peace? Or is it going into drama? Is it going into self-respect? Or is it going into chasing? Because the answer to that question will quietly decide your future. Not one day, not someday, now. Every day your energy is voting for a version of your life. Every time you give your focus to your goals, you vote for growth. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you vote for confidence. Every time you walk away from emotional chaos, you vote for peace. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you vote for your future. Every time you stop replying from pain and start responding from self-respect, you vote for a stronger identity. But every time you return to what keeps breaking you, you vote for the old version of yourself. Every time you chase someone who keeps showing you inconsistency, you vote for confusion. Every time you let someone's mood control your entire day, you vote for emotional weakness. Every time you delay your own growth because you are waiting for someone else to change, you vote against the future that is trying to reach you. And this is not said to make you feel guilty. It is said to wake you up, because your life is not waiting for perfect conditions. Your life is being built by what you repeatedly give power to. If you repeatedly give power to pain, pain becomes your identity. If you repeatedly give power to fear, fear becomes your prison. If you repeatedly give power to people who do not value you, their opinion becomes your mirror. But if you repeatedly give power to your healing becomes your strength. If you repeatedly give power to your discipline becomes your confidence. If you repeatedly give power to your purpose becomes your direction. If you repeatedly give power to yourself, you become the person you used to wait for others to help you become. This is why you must protect the first hour of your day, because the way you begin your morning often decides who controls your mind. If you wake up and immediately check your phone to see who messaged you, who ignored you, who posted something, who is living better, who is moving on, who is giving attention to someone else, you are handing your mind to the world before you have even returned to yourself. You are allowing other people's activity to become the first voice inside your head. You are letting comparison enter before gratitude. You are letting anxiety enter before clarity. You are letting distraction enter before purpose. But when you begin your day with yourself first, something changes. You breathe before you react. You remember your own life before entering everyone else's. You ask what your soul needs before asking who needs you. You choose one action that builds your future before giving your attention to the noise of the world. This does not need to be dramatic. It can begin with silence. It can begin with writing your thoughts. It can begin with walking. It can begin with learning. It can begin with exercise. It can begin with prayer, reflection, reading, planning, or simply sitting with yourself long enough to remember that your life belongs to you. The point is not to become perfect. The point is to stop giving your best energy to everything except yourself. Because the person who controls your morning often controls your direction, and the person who controls your attention often controls your future. This is why attention is one of the most valuable things you have. Where your attention goes, your emotional life follows. If your attention is always on people who hurt you, your emotions will keep returning to hurt. If your attention is always on what you lost, your emotions will keep living in lack. If your attention is always on who left, your emotions will keep feeling abandoned. If your attention is always on what others think, your emotions will keep living in fear. But if your attention returns to what you can build, what you can heal, what you can learn, what you can improve, what you can become, then your emotional life begins to move towards strength. You cannot always control what happened to you. You cannot always control who disappointed you. You cannot always control who walked away, who misunderstood you, who judged you, who wasted your time, or who failed to love you properly. But you can control whether they continue receiving your energy after the lesson has already been learned. That is power. Not pretending it did not hurt, not acting like you never cared, not forcing yourself to forget overnight. Power is realizing that even if something hurt you, it does not deserve to control the rest of your life. Power is saying, yes, that broke my heart, but it will not break my future. Power is saying, yes, I gave too much to the wrong people, but now I am giving myself the attention I once begged for. Power is saying, yes, I lost myself for a season, but I am coming back stronger than before. This is how your energy becomes your comeback, not by revenge, not by proving people wrong through anger, not by becoming bitter, but by taking all the love, time, effort, loyalty, patience, and focus you once poured into people who drained you, and pouring it into the life that is still waiting for you to build it. Imagine what would happen if you used the same energy you spent overthinking someone to learn a skill that changes your future. Imagine what would happen if you used the same time you spent waiting for a reply to work on your body, your mind, your career, your craft, your creativity, your business, your confidence, or your peace. Imagine what would happen if the hours you gave to emotional pain became hours of discipline. Imagine what would happen if the love you kept giving to people who did not value it became the love you finally showed yourself. Imagine what would happen if your attention stopped leaking into people who confused you and started flowing into the person you are becoming. You would become dangerous in the most beautiful way. Dangerous to your old habits, dangerous to your old weaknesses, dangerous to every pattern that kept you small, dangerous to every version of yourself that thought being chosen by others was more important than choosing your own life. You would become focused. You would become grounded. You would become difficult to manipulate. You would become harder to distract. You would become less impressed by attention and more committed to alignment. You would become someone who no longer needs to chase because your energy is too valuable to be wasted on uncertainty. This is what happens when you understand that your energy is your future. You stop treating your peace like something cheap. You stop giving your emotional availability to people who have not earned your trust. You stop saying yes when your soul is begging for rest. You stop entering arguments that only pull you into lower versions of yourself. You stop opening old doors just because loneliness knocks. You stop mistaking intensity for love, chaos for passion, and attachment for connection. You begin to choose calm. You begin to choose clarity. You begin to choose consistency. You begin to choose growth. You begin to choose yourself, not once, but again and again in the small private decisions that no one else sees. And those decisions will not always feel powerful in the moment. Sometimes choosing yourself will feel quiet. Sometimes choosing yourself will feel painful. Sometimes choosing yourself will feel like deleting a message you wanted to send. Sometimes choosing yourself will feel like staying silent when your old self wanted to explain. Sometimes choosing yourself will feel like going to sleep instead of checking their profile again. Sometimes choosing yourself will feel like working on your goal while your emotions are still heavy. Sometimes choosing yourself will feel like walking away from the familiar and stepping into a future you cannot fully see yet. But every time you choose yourself in those moments, you are training your spirit to trust you again. And when you begin trusting yourself again, you become powerful in a way that no outside validation can replace. You no longer need people to constantly reassure you because your actions reassure you. You no longer need applause for every step because your progress becomes personal. You no longer need everyone to understand your path because your direction becomes clear inside you. You no longer need to chase love from people who are emotionally unavailable because you are no longer emotionally unavailable to yourself. That is the real transformation. Not just looking better, not just acting stronger, not just posting quotes about growth. The real transformation is when your energy becomes loyal to your future instead of addicted to your past. The real transformation is when your focus no longer belongs to whoever gives you confusion, but to whatever gives your life meaning. The real transformation is when your heart stops begging for temporary attention and starts building permanent strength. So from today, protect your energy like it is the foundation of everything you are becoming, because it is. Protect it from people who only contact you when they are bored. Protect it from people who bring drama and call it connection. Protect it from people who apologize without changing. Protect it from people who make you feel guilty for needing peace. Protect it from people who want your support but fear your growth. Protect it from memories that keep trying to convince you to return to places you barely survived. Protect it from distractions that feel good for a moment but leave you weaker afterward. Protect it from your own old habits that keep trying to pull you back into the version of you that tolerated too much. And once you protect it, redirect it. Redirect it into your health, because your body carries the life you are building. Redirect it into your mind, because your thoughts become the world you live in. Redirect it into your purpose, because purpose gives pain somewhere meaningful to go. Redirect it into your discipline, because discipline turns dreams into reality. Redirect it into your peace, because peace is the environment where your strongest self can finally grow. There will be people who do not understand this change. Let them misunderstand. There will be people who miss the version of you that was always available. Let them miss that version. There will be people who call your boundaries cold, your silence pride, your focus selfish, and your growth distance. Let them talk, because while they are talking, you are building. While they are judging, you are healing. While they are wondering why you changed, you are becoming the person you should have protected a long time ago. You do not owe people unlimited access to your energy just because they were used to receiving it. You do not owe people your emotional exhaustion just because they are uncomfortable with your peace. You do not owe people the old version of you just because they do not know how to respect the new one. Your energy is your future, and your future is too important to be controlled by people who never took your peace seriously. So take it back. Take back your mornings. Take back your attention. Take back your emotional space. Take back your confidence. Take back your dreams. Take back the hours you gave to people who did not value them. Take back the love you poured into places that left you empty. Take back the version of you that was buried under disappointment, waiting, overthinking, and emotional survival. You are not empty. You are just returning. You are not behind. You are just finally focusing. You are not selfish. You are just done abandoning yourself. And once your energy becomes loyal to your growth, everything changes, because the same person who once chased people for validation becomes the person who builds a life so strong, so peaceful, so meaningful, and so deeply rooted in self-respect that they no longer need to chase anyone to feel complete. That is the power of focusing on yourself first. That is the power of protecting your energy. That is the power of understanding that your future is not waiting for someone else to choose you. Your future begins the moment your energy finally chooses you. Chapter 4. Build yourself in silence. There is a powerful kind of growth that does not need to be announced, explained, defended, or displayed for everyone to understand, because the strongest changes in a person's life often begin in private moments where nobody is clapping, nobody is watching, nobody is praising, nobody is encouraging, and nobody even realizes that something inside you has finally decided it can no longer remain the same. This is the chapter where you learn that building yourself does not always require noise, attention, validation, or public approval, because sometimes the most life-changing version of you is created in silence, in the quiet hours when you choose discipline over distraction, healing over reaction, growth over comfort, and self-respect over the old habit of chasing people who never truly valued the depth of your presence. Most people want the world to notice their transformation before they have even committed to it. But the truth is that if your growth depends on being seen, then your motivation will collapse the moment nobody pays attention. And this is why silent growth is so powerful, because it teaches you to become loyal to your future, even when nobody is rewarding you for the effort. Build yourself in silence, not because you are hiding, not because you are afraid, not because you are weak, but because your next version needs protection from the opinions, doubts, jealousy, criticism, and distractions of people who may not understand what it took for you to finally choose yourself. There are people who will not understand your silence. There are people who will think you changed because you stopped being available for every conversation, every drama, every emotional emergency, every pointless argument, and every situation where they were used to receiving your energy without giving anything meaningful back to your life. There are people who will call your focus distance. There are people who will call your boundaries pride. There are people who will call your discipline selfishness. There are people who will call your peace boring because they only knew how to connect with you through chaos. But you must keep building anyway, because the version of you that is coming cannot be built by constantly explaining yourself to people who are comfortable with the version of you that tolerated too much. Some people do not want to see you healed, because your healing changes the way they access you. Some people do not want to see you focused, because your focus removes the attention they used to control. Some people do not want to see you disciplined, because your discipline exposes their own excuses. Some people do not want to see you peaceful, because your peace makes it harder for them to pull you back into emotional confusion. Some people do not want to see you grow, not because they hate you openly, but because the old version of you served a purpose in their life, and once you begin to build yourself, you stop being easy to use, easy to guilt, easy to distract, easy to manipulate, and easy to keep waiting. This is why you must be wise about who gets access to your becoming. Not everyone deserves to know your plans. Not everyone deserves to hear your dreams while they are still seeds. Not everyone deserves to stand close to your healing while it is still delicate. Not everyone deserves to be present in the season where you are rebuilding the parts of yourself that life, disappointment, rejection, betrayal, and overgiving almost destroyed. Some things must grow in silence before they can survive in the open. A seed does not make noise under the ground. A tree does not announce every root it is growing. A sunrise does not ask permission before it begins. And in the same way, your transformation does not need to be loud to be real. Sometimes your greatest progress will look boring from the outside, because real growth is not always dramatic, glamorous, or exciting. Sometimes real growth looks like waking up earlier, even when you are tired, choosing not to reply to a message that would reopen an old wound, reading when you would rather scroll, saving money when you would rather impress people, working on your body when your mind is heavy, staying calm when your old self would have reacted, and keeping a promise to yourself when nobody else would ever know if you broke it. That is where the real you is built, not in the applause, not in the announcement, not in the moment people finally say they are proud of you. The real you is built in the private war between who you have been and who you are becoming. It is built when you are alone with your thoughts and still choose not to return to what broke you. It is built when your emotions are loud, but your standards remain firm. It is built when loneliness tries to convince you to lower your boundaries, but your self-respect reminds you that temporary comfort is not worth permanent damage. It is built when you miss someone, but still understand that missing them does not mean they belong in your life. It is built when you are tempted to chase attention, but you choose to chase your purpose instead. This kind of silence is not empty. This kind of silence is construction. It is the sound of your soul becoming stronger. It is the space where your mind begins to clear. It is the place where your heart stops begging and starts healing. It is the season where you learn that not being seen by everyone does not mean you are not growing, and not being praised by people does not mean your effort is worthless. You must stop measuring your transformation by how many people notice it. The deepest changes are not always visible immediately. People may not see the moment you stop overthinking as much. They may not see the moment you choose peace instead of drama. They may not see the moment you finally delete the old conversation. They may not see the moment you decide not to explain yourself again. They may not see the moment you stop checking their profile. They may not see the moment you choose your workout, your study, your prayer, your business, your craft, your writing, your health, or your healing, instead of returning to the same emotional cycle. But you will know, and that knowledge will slowly rebuild your confidence. Because confidence is not only built by success, confidence is built by self-trust, and self-trust is built every time you do what you said you were going to do when nobody is watching. This is why silent discipline is one of the purest forms of self-love. When you build yourself in silence, you stop needing other people to validate your effort, because your commitment becomes your proof. You stop needing everyone to understand your journey, because your direction becomes clear inside your own heart. You stop needing to prove that you are changing, because you are too busy actually changing. You stop needing to tell people how strong you are becoming, because your reactions, your choices, your boundaries, your peace, and your consistency will eventually speak for you. And one day, the people who thought you were just quiet will realize you were rebuilding. They will realize that while they were expecting you to stay the same, you were becoming someone they could no longer reach with the same old patterns. They will realize that your silence was not weakness. It was preparation. It was healing. It was focus. It was you gathering every broken piece of yourself and deciding that your life would not remain a reflection of what happened to you. But do not build yourself in silence just to surprise people. Do not grow only so people regret losing you. Do not become stronger only so people who doubted you feel ashamed. Because if your transformation is still centered around them, then they are still holding power over your life. Build yourself because you deserve to live as someone who respects their own future. Build yourself because you are tired of feeling behind. Build yourself because your dreams have waited long enough. Build yourself because your peace deserves a better home. Build yourself because the person you are becoming needs you to stop wasting energy on people who keep pulling you back. Build yourself because the next chapter of your life cannot be entered with the same mindset that kept you stuck in the last one. There is a kind of pain that comes when you realize how much time you have lost. But do not let that pain turn into shame. Let it turn into focus. Yes, maybe you gave years to people who did not value you. Yes, maybe you delayed your growth because your heart was busy chasing connection. Yes, maybe you ignored yourself while trying to be everything for others. Yes, maybe you lost confidence, discipline, direction, and peace while trying to hold relationships that were not holding you back. But you are here now. You are awake now. You are aware now. And awareness means you still have a chance to change the direction of your life. Do not waste more time punishing yourself for the time you already lost. Use that pain as fuel. Use that disappointment as discipline. Use that heartbreak as clarity. Use that loneliness as space. Use that silence as a workshop where your stronger self is being created, because sometimes the season that looks like isolation is actually protection. Sometimes the season where fewer people call you is the season where your mind finally becomes quiet enough to hear your own purpose. Sometimes the season where nobody is checking on you becomes the season where you finally learn how to check on yourself. Sometimes the season where you feel forgotten becomes the season where you remember who you were before you started losing yourself for others. Sometimes the season where everything feels silent is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your rebuilding. You must learn to stop fearing quiet seasons. Quiet seasons are where roots grow. Quiet seasons are where discipline is formed. Quiet seasons are where emotional dependence begins to break. Quiet seasons are where you learn the difference between loneliness and freedom. Quiet seasons are where you discover that you can survive without the attention you once thought you needed. Quiet seasons are where your old identity starts dying and your new identity begins breathing. Many people never become who they are meant to become because they are addicted to being seen before they are ready to be strong. They want to post the goal before they work for it. They want to talk about healing before they practice it. They want to announce a comeback before they build the habits that can sustain it. They want the image of transformation without the private sacrifice of transformation. But you are not here to perform growth. You are here to live it. You are here to become the person who does not just talk about choosing themselves, but actually makes choices every day that prove it. You are here to become the person who no longer says, "I will focus on myself," and then returns to the same distractions an hour later. You are here to become the person who understands that every small action is either building the future or repeating the past. That means when you wake up and choose your goals before your phone, you are building. When you choose water, movement, and health before laziness and excuses, you are building. When you choose learning before scrolling, you are building. When you choose saving before showing off, you are building. When you choose silence before unnecessary argument, you are building. When you choose boundaries before guilt, you are building. When you choose peace before proving a point, you are building. When you choose your future before temporary attention, you are building. Do not underestimate small private choices. Your life is not changed only by one big decision. Your life is changed by hundreds of small decisions that repeat until they become your identity. A person does not become strong because they felt powerful one day. A person becomes strong because they kept choosing strength when weakness was easier. A person does not become disciplined because they were motivated once. A person becomes disciplined because they acted even when motivation disappeared. A person does not become peaceful because life became perfect. A person becomes peaceful because they stopped giving access to everything that kept disturbing their spirit. This is why you must take your daily habits seriously. The version of you that you want will not appear magically. You must build that version through repetition. You must train your mind to focus. You must train your heart to stop chasing. You must train your body to move with strength. You must train your emotions to stop controlling your decisions. You must train your spirit to trust the process even when nobody else understands it. At first, this will not feel natural. Your old self will resist. Your old self will want comfort. Your old self will want to check the message. Your old self will want to explain again. Your old self will want to return to familiar pain because familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar growth. Your old self will say, just one more time, just one more conversation, just one more chance, just one more look at their profile, just one more day of delaying your goal, just one more excuse, just one more return to what you promised yourself you would leave. And this is where your silent strength must rise. You must learn to talk back to the old version of yourself. You must say, no, we are not going back. You must say, no, we are not losing ourselves again. You must say, no, we are not trading our future for a familiar wound. You must say, no, we are not chasing people while our own life waits for us. You must say, no, we are building now. This is not easy, but it is necessary, because the old version of you does not disappear simply because you want a better life. The old version of you disappears when your new choices become stronger than your old patterns, and that requires silence, patience, discipline, and repetition. Some days you will feel strong. Some days you will feel weak. Some days you will feel like you are finally free. Some days one memory will try to pull you back into everything you are trying to leave. But progress is not proven by never struggling. Progress is proven by what you choose after the struggle appears. If you feel sad but still keep your boundary, you are building. If you feel lonely but still refuse to chase, you are building. If you feel tired but still take one step toward your goal, you are building. If you feel tempted but still choose your peace, you are building. If you feel unseen but still keep improving, you are building. This is how silent growth becomes unstoppable. Because you stop waiting for perfect feelings and start practicing committed action. You stop needing motivation and start building identity. You stop saying, "I will become better when life gets easier," and you start saying, "I will become better because my life depends on it." And truly, your life does depend on it. Not just your survival, but your quality of life. Your confidence depends on it. Your peace depends on it. Your future relationships depend on it. Your mental strength depends on it. Your dreams depend on it. Your ability to look back years from now and say, "I did not give up on myself," depends on it. There will come a day when you will be grateful that you chose silence over noise. You will be grateful that you did not tell everyone your plans too early. You will be grateful that you stopped asking people for permission to grow. You will be grateful that you protected your energy from those who would have distracted you. You will be grateful that you stopped explaining every boundary. You will be grateful that you worked on yourself when nobody understood why you changed. You will be grateful that you did not return to the people, places, habits, and emotions that kept you small. And on that day, your peace will feel different. It will not be the fragile peace that depends on someone treating you well. It will not be the temporary peace that comes when everything outside you is calm. It will be a deeper peace. The peace of knowing that you can trust yourself. The peace of knowing that you can walk away from what hurts you. The peace of knowing that you can build even when nobody helps. The peace of knowing that you are no longer waiting for someone else to rescue your life. That kind of peace is rare. That kind of peace is earned. That kind of peace is built in silence. You must also understand that building yourself in silence does not mean isolating yourself from every good person, and it does not mean refusing help, love, friendship, or support. Because healthy connection is beautiful, but it does mean becoming careful about who gets close to your mind while you are rebuilding. You need people who protect your focus, not people who drain it. You need people who respect your boundaries, not people who test them. You need people who speak life into your future, not people who keep reminding you of your past. You need people who are happy when you grow, not people who become uncomfortable when you stop being easy to control. You need people who can sit with your silence without assuming you are against them. You need people who understand that your growth is not rejection, your boundary is not hatred, your focus is not arrogance, and your healing is not betrayal. But until you find those people, do not be afraid to walk alone. Do not be afraid of quiet rooms. Do not be afraid of smaller circles. Do not be afraid of unanswered messages. Do not be afraid of not being included. Do not be afraid of the season where your life looks less exciting to others but is becoming more meaningful to you. Because building yourself requires you to become comfortable with not being everywhere, not knowing everything, not reacting to everything, not being accessible to everyone, and not needing every person to see the work you are doing inside yourself. The more you build in silence, the less you need noise to feel alive. You begin to enjoy your own company. You begin to hear your own thoughts clearly. You begin to understand your patterns. You begin to see what triggers you, what weakens you, what strengthens you, what distracts you, and what truly matters to your soul. You begin to realize that many of the things you used to chase were not actually love, peace, or purpose. They were distractions from the emptiness you had not yet learned how to face. And once you face yourself honestly, You become free in a way that attention can never give you. Because many people are afraid of silence because silence reveals what noise helps them avoid. Silence reveals the pain they never healed. Silence reveals the dreams they never pursued. Silence reveals the patterns they keep repeating. Silence reveals the truth about the people they keep chasing. Silence reveals the distance between who they are and who they know they could become. But if you are brave enough to sit with that truth, silence becomes your teacher. It teaches you what needs healing. It teaches you what needs discipline. It teaches you what needs boundaries. It teaches you what needs to end. It teaches you what needs to begin. And once you listen, your life starts changing from the inside out. This is why you must stop running from yourself. Stop filling every quiet moment with distractions. Stop using people as medicine for wounds they did not create and cannot heal. Stop using attention as proof that you matter. Stop using busyness as a way to avoid your own soul. Stop using entertainment to escape the work your future is asking from you. Sit with yourself, face yourself, understand yourself, build yourself. The person you become in silence will be stronger than the person you were while chasing noise. And when you finally emerge from that silent season, you will not need to announce your change. People will feel it. They will feel it in the way you no longer beg. They will feel it in the way you no longer react. They will feel it in the way you no longer explain yourself to everyone. They will feel it in the way you no longer give access to people who bring confusion. They will feel it in the way your eyes carry peace instead of desperation. They will feel it in the way your presence becomes calm, grounded, focused, and difficult to disturb. That is the beauty of silent growth. It speaks without shouting. It proves without explaining. It shines without begging to be seen. But remember this deeply: silence is not enough if it does not become action. Do not simply disappear and call it growth. Do not simply stop talking and call it healing. Do not simply isolate yourself and call it self-focus. Real silent growth requires work. It requires you to create a routine when your life feels messy. It requires you to repair your mindset when your thoughts are negative. It requires you to improve your health when your body feels heavy. It requires you to study when your future needs skills. It requires you to save when your old habits want to spend. It requires you to say no when your people-pleasing wants to say yes. It requires you to forgive yourself without returning to the same mistake. It requires you to become honest about the ways you have been delaying your own life, because building yourself is not just about leaving people behind. It is about becoming responsible for the life in front of you. It is easy to blame people for draining you, but now that you see clearly, you must also take responsibility for protecting yourself. It is easy to say people wasted your time, but now you must decide not to waste more of it. It is easy to say someone broke your confidence, but now you must rebuild it through daily promises kept. It is easy to say your past hurt you, but now you must stop using your past as permission to stay stuck. This is where real maturity begins. Maturity is when you stop waiting for the world to become gentle before you become strong. Maturity is when you stop expecting everyone to understand your pain before you start healing it. Maturity is when you stop using disappointment as an excuse and start using it as a lesson. Maturity is when you stop saying, "They made me this way," and start saying, "Now I will decide who I become." That decision is powerful. That decision is the beginning of your new identity. You are no longer the person who chases. You are no longer the person who begs for attention. You are no longer the person who keeps proving their worth to people who cannot see it. You are no longer the person who abandons goals for temporary emotional comfort. You are no longer the person who lets one person's distance destroy your entire day. You are becoming someone else now. Someone quieter, someone stronger, someone more focused, someone more careful with energy, someone more disciplined with time, someone more loyal to peace, someone more committed to purpose, someone who can love deeply but still walk away when love is not returned with respect. And that person must be built in silence before they can live with power. So let your silence become sacred. Let your routine become your foundation. Let your boundaries become your protection. Let your discipline become your proof. Let your healing become your quiet victory. Let your focus become your answer to every person who expected you to stay broken. And when the old life tries to call you back, do not argue with it. Do not negotiate with it. Do not romanticize it. Do not open the door just because loneliness knocked. Simply remember what it cost you to survive that version of your life. And then return to the work. Return to your morning. Return to your plan. Return to your goals. Return to your peace. Return to your body. Return to your mind. Return to your purpose. Return to yourself. Because the life you want is not built by chasing people who keep delaying your peace. It is built by becoming so committed to yourself that distractions no longer feel powerful. It is built by becoming so focused on your growth that old patterns begin to lose their voice. It is built by becoming so peaceful in your own presence that you no longer confuse attention with love. It is built by becoming so disciplined in private that your future eventually has no choice but to reflect the work you did when nobody was watching. This is your season to build quietly. This is your season to heal without explaining. This is your season to grow without asking permission. This is your season to become the person your younger self needed and your future self is waiting for. And when the results finally appear, do not forget where they were created. They were created in the silence. They were created in the discipline. They were created in the lonely choices. They were created in the boundaries nobody understood. They were created in the mornings you wanted to quit but continued. They were created in the nights you wanted to go back but chose yourself. They were created in the private moments where you stopped chasing people and started building yourself. That is where your power begins. That is where your future changes. That is where the strongest version of you is born. Chapter 5. The right people will meet the real you. There is a painful kind of loneliness that comes from being surrounded by people but still feeling unseen because they know your name, they know your face, they know your habits, they know the version of you that laughs, helps, gives, listens, forgives, and stays, but they do not truly know the person behind all of that. The person who gets tired, the person who needs support, the person who has dreams, fears, boundaries, wounds, and a deep desire to finally be loved without having to perform for it. For a long time, you may have believed that keeping people close required you to hide certain parts of yourself. So you became careful with your words, careful with your emotions, careful with your needs, careful with your truth, careful with your boundaries, careful with your dreams, and careful with your pain, because somewhere along the way, life taught you that being fully yourself might cause people to leave. So you learned to adjust. You learned to become what people needed. You learned to smile when you were tired. You learned to say, "It is okay," when it was not okay. You learned to understand everyone while secretly wishing someone would understand you. You learned to be the strong one, the available one, the forgiving one, the patient one, the quiet one, the one who does not complain, the one who does not ask for much, the one who keeps everything together even when everything inside is falling apart. And maybe people praised you for that version. Maybe they called you kind. Maybe they called you mature. Maybe they called you easy to be around. Maybe they said you were different from others. But deep inside, you knew the truth. They were not always loving the real you. They were loving the version of you that made their life easier. They were loving the version of you that did not challenge them. They were loving the version of you that did not require accountability. They were loving the version of you that absorbed pain quietly and called it peace. They were loving the version of you that kept giving even when you were empty. And when you finally begin to focus on yourself first, this is one of the hardest truths you must face. Some people were only comfortable with you because you were not fully being yourself. They liked your silence because it allowed them to avoid responsibility. They liked your kindness because it allowed them to keep taking. They liked your patience because it allowed them to keep delaying change. They liked your loyalty because it allowed them to keep doing less than you deserved. They liked your presence because it allowed them to feel supported without having to support you in return. But the moment you begin to speak honestly, the moment you begin to say no, the moment you begin to protect your peace, the moment you begin to stop explaining away their behavior, the moment you begin to stop shrinking yourself so they can remain comfortable, you will see who truly loved you and who only loved what they could receive from you. This is why focusing on yourself first will change your relationships. It will not only change how you see people, it will change how people respond to the real you. Some people will celebrate your growth. Some people will respect your boundaries. Some people will be proud that you are becoming stronger. Some people will understand that your distance is not hatred. Your silence is not punishment. Your focus is not selfishness. And your healing is not an attack on them. But others will become uncomfortable. They will not like that you are no longer emotionally available on demand. They will not like that you are no longer easy to guilt. They will not like that your time has value now. They will not like that your standards are rising. They will not like that your peace matters more than their approval. They will not like that you are no longer willing to lose yourself just to keep them close. And you must not panic when this happens. Do not run back to the fake version of yourself just because people are struggling to accept the real one. Do not apologize for becoming honest. Do not make yourself smaller again just because your growth makes someone else uncomfortable. Do not betray the person you are becoming just to keep the people who only loved the version of you that betrayed itself. The right people will meet the real you, but they cannot meet you while you are still pretending. They cannot meet you while you are still hiding your truth. They cannot meet you while you are still saying yes when your soul is screaming no. They cannot meet you while you are still laughing at disrespect to keep the room peaceful. They cannot meet you while you are still acting like you need less love, less effort, less honesty, less consistency, and less respect than you truly desire. They cannot meet you while you keep wearing a mask to be accepted by people who would leave if you showed them your real face. This is why healing is not only about walking away from the wrong people. Healing is also about returning to your real self. The self you were before disappointment taught you to hide. The self you were before rejection taught you to perform. The self you were before betrayal taught you to mistrust your own needs. The self you were before people made you feel like love had to be earned through suffering. The self you were before you started measuring your worth by how much pain you could tolerate. There is a real you underneath all the survival habits. There is a real you underneath the people-pleasing. There is a real you underneath the overthinking. There is a real you underneath the fear of being abandoned. There is a real you underneath the habit of staying quiet when something hurts. There is a real you underneath the old belief that you must be useful to be loved. And focusing on yourself first means bringing that real you back into the light. It means asking yourself what you actually feel before asking what will keep others comfortable. It means asking yourself what you truly want before asking what others expect from you. It means asking yourself what kind of life feels honest to your soul before asking who will approve of it. It means asking yourself what you have been tolerating only because you were afraid of being alone. It means asking yourself where you have been performing strength while privately needing care. This is not an easy process, because when you begin to become real, you may lose people who were attached to your performance. You may lose people who loved your availability more than your authenticity. You may lose people who were only close because you never challenged them to love you properly. You may lose people who were comfortable with the broken version of you because that version never made them feel responsible. But losing people while becoming real is not always a loss. Sometimes it is freedom. Sometimes it is cleansing. Sometimes it is the cost of coming home to yourself. Sometimes it is life removing the audience that only clapped when you were abandoning your own soul. You must understand that not everyone deserves access to the real you, but you should never have to destroy the real you just to stay connected to someone. The right people will not require you to perform. They will not punish you for having feelings. They will not call your boundaries drama. They will not make you feel guilty for needing space. They will not disappear every time you stop being useful. They will not treat your honesty like a problem. They will not make you feel like love is something you must constantly audition for. The right people may not be perfect, because no human being is perfect, but they will be sincere. They will be willing to understand. They will be willing to grow. They will be willing to listen without turning everything into a battle. They will be willing to respect the parts of you that are still healing. They will be willing to love the real you, not just the convenient you. And when those people enter your life, you will feel a difference. You will not feel like you are walking on emotional glass. You will not feel like one honest sentence could ruin everything. You will not feel like you must keep proving your worth every day. You will not feel like you are always too much or never enough. You will not feel like love is a courtroom where you must defend your heart again and again. You will feel calm. You will feel safe. You will feel respected. You will feel like your presence is valued without you having to exhaust yourself. You will feel like you can breathe. And that is the kind of connection your healed self deserves. But before the right people can recognize you, you must stop hiding behind the version of yourself that was created by fear. Fear created the version of you that over-explains. Fear created the version of you that apologizes when you did nothing wrong. Fear created the version of you that stays where your peace is not protected. Fear created the version of you that accepts less because you are afraid nothing better will come. Fear created the version of you that keeps people close even when their presence keeps you far from yourself. But self-respect creates another version. Self-respect creates the version of you that speaks calmly but clearly. Self-respect creates the version of you that loves deeply but does not beg. Self-respect creates the version of you that forgives but does not forget the lesson. Self-respect creates the version of you that is kind but not available for disrespect. Self-respect creates the version of you that can walk away without hatred, because peace has become more important than attachment. This is the version the right people need to meet, not the version that is desperate to be chosen, not the version that changes shape to fit someone else's comfort, not the version that hides pain just to avoid being called sensitive, not the version that keeps lowering standards because someone gives you just enough attention to keep you waiting. The right people need to meet the real you. The honest you, the healing you, the growing you, the peaceful you, the focused you, the version of you that knows love should not require self-abandonment. And this may feel frightening at first, because being real always carries the risk of being rejected by people who preferred your mask. But understand this clearly: being rejected for your real self is better than being accepted for a fake version of you, because acceptance that requires you to disappear is not love. Acceptance that requires you to silence your truth is not safety. Acceptance that requires you to tolerate pain is not connection. Acceptance that requires you to keep betraying yourself is not peace. You do not need to be accepted everywhere. You need to belong where your soul does not have to hide. There is a powerful freedom that comes when you stop trying to be everyone's type, everyone's comfort, everyone's answer, everyone's helper, everyone's emotional shelter, and everyone's idea of what a good person should be. You begin to realize that you were never meant to fit in every room. Some rooms require you to become smaller. Some rooms require you to become quieter. Some rooms require you to laugh at things that hurt you. Some rooms require you to hide your ambition. Some rooms require you to betray your values. Some rooms require you to pretend that your heart is not tired. And when you focus on yourself first, you stop fighting to stay in rooms where your spirit cannot breathe. You stop begging for seats at tables where your presence is tolerated but not cherished. You stop forcing closeness with people who only understand connection when it benefits them. You stop confusing being included with being valued. You stop confusing being needed with being loved. You stop confusing being remembered with being respected. This is where your life begins to open. Because the moment you stop forcing yourself into spaces that were not built for your growth, you create space for people, opportunities, habits, and environments that can actually support the person you are becoming. The right people often cannot enter your life because the wrong people are occupying too much emotional space. Your mind is full of people who confuse you. Your heart is full of people who hurt you. Your schedule is full of people who drain you. Your thoughts are full of people who do not pour back into you. And then you wonder why there is no space for peace, creativity, purpose, healthy love, new friendships, better opportunities, and deeper growth. You must make space. Sometimes making space looks like leaving. Sometimes making space looks like saying no. Sometimes making space looks like replying less. Sometimes making space looks like stopping the habit of explaining. Sometimes making space looks like no longer being available for conversations that only reopen old wounds. Sometimes making space looks like becoming comfortable with being misunderstood. Sometimes making space looks like trusting that what leaves when you become real was not meant to stay in your future. The right people will not always arrive immediately after the wrong people leave. There may be a quiet season between release and arrival. There may be a season where you feel like you are losing more than you are gaining. There may be a season where your circle becomes smaller. There may be a season where your phone is quieter. There may be a season where you wonder whether choosing yourself has made you too alone. But do not judge your future by the emptiness of the transition. Sometimes life removes what is false before it sends what is true. Sometimes your circle gets smaller because your standards are finally getting stronger. Sometimes the quietness around you is not punishment. It is preparation. It is space. It is the emotional breathing room your real self needed in order to finally grow. Do not run back to old people just because the new season feels silent. Do not mistake silence for failure. Do not mistake loneliness for proof that you made the wrong decision. Do not mistake the absence of fake connection for the absence of love. You are not losing your life. You are clearing it. You are making room for relationships that do not require you to lose your peace. You are making room for love that feels steady, not confusing. You are making room for friendships that feel mutual, not one-sided. You are making room for people who can celebrate your growth instead of feeling threatened by it. You are making room for the version of you that can finally exist without constantly performing. This is why you must become patient with the process. The real you has been buried for a long time. You cannot expect to return to yourself in one day. You cannot expect to heal every fear immediately. You cannot expect to stop people-pleasing overnight. You cannot expect to suddenly feel comfortable disappointing people after years of trying to keep everyone happy. You cannot expect to trust healthy love immediately if your heart became used to confusion. You cannot expect to recognize peace right away if chaos once felt familiar. But every day you choose honesty, you return a little more. Every day you choose boundaries, you return a little more. Every day you choose self-respect, you return a little more. Every day you choose not to chase, you return a little more. Every day you choose your purpose over temporary attention, you return a little more. And slowly, the real you begins to stand again. Not the version shaped by fear, not the version shaped by rejection, not the version shaped by people who did not love you properly, but the version shaped by clarity, strength, peace, and self-respect. This version may be new to people around you. It may even be new to you. You may feel strange when you first begin saying no. You may feel guilty when you first choose rest. You may feel uncomfortable when you stop explaining yourself. You may feel nervous when you allow people to be disappointed without rushing to fix their feelings. You may feel afraid when you stop chasing and allow people to reveal whether they truly care. But this discomfort does not mean you are doing something wrong. It means you are breaking an old pattern, and breaking old patterns often feels uncomfortable before it feels freeing. A cage can feel safe when you have lived in it long enough. A mask can feel natural when you have worn it for years. A toxic connection can feel like home when your heart has mistaken intensity for love. But healing teaches you that familiar does not always mean healthy. Healing teaches you that comfort is not always peace. Healing teaches you that being wanted is not the same as being valued. Healing teaches you that being needed is not the same as being loved. Healing teaches you that the right people will not ask you to disappear in order to stay. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself is the courage to be fully seen by the right people and fully released by the wrong ones. Let the wrong people misunderstand you. Let the wrong people lose interest. Let the wrong people call you different. Let the wrong people say you changed. Let the wrong people walk away from the version of you that no longer feeds their comfort. Because every person who leaves when you become real is making room for someone who can love you without requiring a performance. And when you finally meet people who appreciate the real you will understand why the old connections had to fall apart. You will understand why your peace had to become more important than being liked. You will understand why you had to stop chasing people who only loved your availability. You will understand why you had to become honest, even if honesty made your life quieter for a while. You will understand that the right people do not need you to beg for basic effort. They do not make consistency feel impossible. They do not make communication feel like a prize. They do not make respect feel like something you must earn through pain. They do not make your heart feel like it is always waiting outside a locked door. The right people bring a different kind of energy. They do not drain your mind after every interaction. They do not leave you questioning your value. They do not make you replay conversations for hours. They do not make you feel like love is a place where you must constantly prove yourself. They make your nervous system feel safe. They make your growth feel supported. They make your truth feel welcome. They make your boundaries feel respected. They make your presence feel appreciated. And most importantly, they do not pull you away from yourself. They help you become more of yourself. That is how you know the right people do not require you to abandon your own life to be loved by them. They do not demand all of your energy while giving none of theirs. They do not become angry when you focus on your goals. They do not feel threatened when you become disciplined. They do not compete with your healing. They do not punish you for becoming peaceful. They do not make you choose between loving them and respecting yourself. They understand that real connection should make both people stronger, not make one person smaller. But to receive that kind of connection, you must stop settling for the kind that only keeps you emotionally busy. Some relationships are not deep. They are just dramatic. Some relationships are not passionate. They are just unstable. Some relationships are not meaningful. They are just familiar. Some relationships are not love. They are attachment mixed with fear. Some relationships are not destiny. They are patterns you have not yet healed from. And until you become honest about this, you will keep mistaking emotional intensity for emotional safety. You will keep thinking that if something hurts deeply, it must mean it matters deeply. You will keep thinking that if someone makes you anxious, it must mean you love them. You will keep thinking that if you cannot let go, it must mean they belong in your life. But sometimes you cannot let go because your nervous system is addicted to the cycle, the waiting, the hoping, the disappointment, the small moments of attention, the pain, the apology, the temporary closeness, the distance again, the confusion again, the chasing again. That is not peace. That is not building you. That is not the kind of connection your future self will thank you for keeping. When you focus on yourself first, you begin to break this addiction. You begin to understand that calm love may feel unfamiliar because you are used to chaos. You begin to understand that healthy people may seem boring at first because they do not activate your wounds. You begin to understand that peace may feel strange because your heart has been trained to expect disappointment. You begin to understand that consistency is not weak, it is rare. You begin to understand that respect is not too much to ask for. It is the minimum foundation of any real connection. You begin to understand that you do not need someone who makes you feel alive through pain. You need people who help you feel alive through peace. This is why the real you must become comfortable with healthier forms of love. Love that does not require chasing, friendship that does not require proving, support that does not come with hidden control, presence that does not disappear when you have needs, honesty that does not turn into punishment, connection that does not make you feel guilty for growing. At first, you may not know how to receive it. When someone respects your boundary, you may feel surprised. When someone communicates clearly, you may feel suspicious. When someone stays consistent, you may wonder when they will change. When someone values your presence, you may feel uncomfortable because you are used to earning love through overgiving. This is where healing requires courage. You must learn not only how to leave what hurts, but also how to receive what is healthy. You must learn how to stop pushing away peace because chaos feels familiar. You must learn how to believe that love can be calm. You must learn how to believe that being understood does not require you to explain yourself until you are exhausted. You must learn how to believe that people can care without using you. You must learn how to believe that your real self is worthy of connection, not just the version of you that performs, gives, fixes, saves, and stays silent. This is one of the deepest parts of focusing on yourself first. You are not only building your outer life, you are rebuilding your ability to be loved without losing yourself. Because if you do not heal, you may finally meet the right people and still not know how to trust them. You may meet peace and call it boring. You may meet respect and feel unworthy. You may meet consistency and wait for betrayal. You may meet kindness and question its motive. You may meet people who truly value you and still feel pulled toward those who made you fight for crumbs. So do not only ask life to send better people. Become someone who can recognize better people. Become someone who no longer confuses anxiety with love. Become someone who no longer calls inconsistency exciting. Become someone who no longer feels loyal to pain. Become someone who no longer ignores red flags because the connection feels intense. Become someone who can stand in front of genuine respect and not run back to familiar disrespect. This kind of healing changes your entire life. It changes who you answer. It changes who you trust. It changes who you allow close. It changes what you tolerate. It changes what feels attractive. It changes what feels normal. It changes what kind of people can remain around you. And this is why some people from your old life may not survive your new standards. Not because you hate them, not because you are better than them, not because you think you are perfect, but because the version of you that kept accepting emotional confusion is not the version of you that is leading your life anymore. The real you is coming back, and the real you needs a different environment. The real you needs peace. The real you needs honesty. The real you needs mutual effort. The real you needs space to grow. The real you needs people who do not turn your kindness into a weakness. The real you needs people who can handle your truth without making you feel guilty for having one. The real you needs people who can love you without owning you, support you without controlling you, correct you without humiliating you, and stay close without draining the life out of you. That is the kind of connection worth waiting for. Not perfect people, real people. People with honest hearts. People who do not run from accountability. People who do not make you beg for clarity. People who do not disappear when life becomes difficult. People who can hold space for your growth without making everything about themselves. People who see your softness and do not try to exploit it. People who see your strength and do not try to compete with it. People who see your wounds and do not use them against you. People who see your dreams and do not laugh at them. People who see your boundaries and do not punish you for having them. When you meet people like that, you will realize that connection was never supposed to feel like constant survival. You will realize that you were not asking for too much from the wrong people. You were simply asking the wrong people. You were asking empty hands to hold your heart. You were asking distracted minds to understand your depth. You were asking emotionally unavailable people to provide emotional safety. You were asking people who did not know how to build themselves to help build you. And now, with self-respect, You stop doing that. You stop going to people for love when they only know how to give confusion. You stop going to people for peace when they only know how to bring noise. You stop going to people for honesty when they only know how to hide behind excuses. You stop going to people for support when they only know how to show up for themselves. You stop going to people for healing when they are still committed to hurting you. This is not bitterness. This is wisdom. This is you finally learning where not to place your heart. This is you finally understanding that your real self deserves real places, real people, real effort, and real peace. And until those people appear, you must become the kind of person who refuses to use loneliness as a reason to betray yourself. Loneliness is difficult, but it is not deadly. Being alone while rebuilding is painful, but it is not as painful as being with people who make you feel alone. Quiet nights can feel heavy, but they are not as heavy as relationships that drain your spirit. A smaller circle can feel strange, but it is not as strange as pretending to be happy around people who do not truly know you. You can survive the quiet season. You can survive being misunderstood. You can survive not being everyone's first choice. You can survive people leaving when you become real. But you may not survive another season of abandoning yourself just to keep the wrong people close. That is why this chapter matters, because the right people can only meet the real you when you stop performing for the wrong ones. They can only find you when you stop hiding. They can only recognize you when you stop pretending. They can only love you when you finally allow yourself to exist without the mask. So let the real you breathe. Let the real you speak. Let the real you grow. Let the real you desire more. Let the real you say no. Let the real you walk away. Let the real you stop apologizing for needing peace. Let the real you stop shrinking to be accepted. Let the real you become visible again. And when people leave because of that, let them leave with peace. Do not chase them back into your life. Do not beg them to understand the version of you they never wanted to support. Do not make yourself smaller again to fit into their comfort. Do not return to old patterns just because the new version of you feels unfamiliar. The right people will meet you on the path of truth. The right people will recognize your heart without needing you to bleed for attention. The right people will respect your boundaries without making you feel cruel. The right people will support your focus without calling you selfish. The right people will see your growth and feel joy, not threat. The right people will make you feel like being yourself is safe. And when that happens, you will finally understand why you had to stop chasing. You had to stop chasing so you could stop performing. You had to stop performing so you could become real. You had to become real so the right people could finally meet the version of you that was buried beneath fear, pain, and the desperate need to be chosen. This is how your life changes, not by forcing the wrong people to love you correctly, not by begging unavailable people to become safe, not by turning yourself into whatever others need. Your life changes when you become brave enough to be real and patient enough to wait for the people who can honor that reality. So do not be afraid of losing what only stayed because you were pretending. Do not be afraid of being too honest for people who loved your silence. Do not be afraid of being too peaceful for people addicted to chaos. Do not be afraid of being too focused for people who needed you distracted. Do not be afraid of being too strong for people who preferred you uncertain. The real you is not too much. The real you is simply too honest for fake connections. The real you is too peaceful for toxic patterns. The real you is too focused for people who benefit from your confusion. The real you is too valuable to keep living as a smaller version just to be accepted by people who never planned to truly build with you. From this moment forward, let your life become a place where your real self is welcome. Let your relationships become a reflection of your self-respect. Let your circle become smaller if it must, but let it become safer. Let your heart become softer but wiser. Let your love remain deep but no longer desperate. Let your presence remain kind but no longer careless with itself. Let your future be built with people who meet the real you and still choose to stay with honesty, effort, respect, and peace. Because the right people will not meet the version of you that is exhausted from pretending. They will meet the version of you that finally came home to itself. And when they do, you will no longer need to chase connection, because real connection will recognize you without requiring you to lose yourself first. Chapter 6. Discipline is self-love in action. There comes a point in your journey where you must understand that loving yourself is not only about speaking kindly to yourself, forgiving yourself, resting when you are tired, or reminding yourself that you deserve better. Because while all of those things matter, real self-love becomes powerful only when it turns into discipline. And discipline is the moment your love for your future becomes stronger than your attachment to your old patterns. Many people say they love themselves, but they keep making choices that quietly betray themselves. They say they want peace, but they keep walking back into conversations that disturb their spirit. They say they want confidence, but they keep breaking the promises they make to themselves. They say they want a better life, but they keep feeding the same habits that created the life they are tired of living. They say they want to focus on themselves, but the moment loneliness appears, the moment boredom appears, the moment an old memory appears, the moment one person gives them a little attention, they forget their own goals and run back to the same cycle that drained them before. This is why discipline matters. Discipline is not punishment. Discipline is not being harsh with yourself. Discipline is not becoming emotionless, robotic, cold, or obsessed with perfection. Discipline is the deepest proof that you have finally started taking your life seriously. Discipline is the way you tell yourself, I am no longer available for the version of life that keeps breaking me. Discipline is the way you protect your peace before chaos gets close enough to control you. Discipline is the way you stop your emotions from dragging you back into places your wisdom already told you to leave. Discipline is the way you choose your future even when your past is calling your name. And this is where many people fail, because they think change begins when they feel ready, when they feel motivated, when they feel healed, when they feel strong, when they feel confident, when life becomes easier, when the pain finally disappears, when the right people arrive, when the perfect opportunity comes, when the mood is right, when the timing feels comfortable. But real growth does not wait for perfect feelings. Real growth begins when you act even while your feelings are still messy. You do not become disciplined because every morning feels inspiring. You become disciplined because you wake up even when your mind wants to stay buried under excuses. You do not become focused because your heart is never distracted. You become focused because you return to your purpose even after distraction tries to pull you away. You do not become peaceful because nobody triggers you anymore. You become peaceful because you stop giving every trigger permission to control your behavior. You do not become strong because you never feel weak. You become strong because weakness no longer gets the final decision. That is discipline. It is not the absence of emotion. It is the leadership of emotion. It is not ignoring your pain. It is refusing to let your pain become the manager of your future. It is not pretending you are healed. It is choosing healing actions while your heart is still learning how to stop bleeding for the wrong things. When you focus on yourself first, discipline becomes your shield. Because without discipline, your old habits will always find a way to pull you back. Your old self knows your weak points. Your old self knows what memories make you emotional. Your old self knows what person can still make you forget your standards. Your old self knows what excuse sounds believable enough to delay your growth. Your old self knows how to convince you that one more message will not hurt, one more chance will not break you, one more night of overthinking will not matter, one more day of procrastination will not damage your dream. One more return to the old cycle will somehow be different this time. But discipline stands at the door and says, no, we are not going back. Discipline says, we already learned that lesson. Discipline says, we are allowed to miss them, but we are not allowed to abandon ourselves again. Discipline says, we are allowed to feel tired, but we are still going to take one step. Discipline says, we are allowed to feel lonely, but loneliness is not permission to return to people who made us feel alone even when they were present. Discipline says we are allowed to feel pain, but pain will not become the excuse for destroying our own future. This is why discipline is self-love in action. Because self-love without discipline can become only a feeling, a beautiful feeling, but still weak. You can tell yourself you deserve better, but if you keep answering the same disrespect, you are not choosing better. You can tell yourself you want peace, but if you keep entertaining drama, you are not choosing peace. You can tell yourself you want to grow, but if you keep delaying the habits that would make growth possible, you are not choosing growth. You can tell yourself you are done chasing people, but if your whole day still revolves around who noticed you, who ignored you, who viewed your story, who replied late, who became distant, and who gave attention to someone else, then your focus still belongs to the wrong place. The truth is not always comfortable, but it is necessary. Your life will not change just because you understand the message. Your life will change when you obey the message. Your life will not change because you cried while listening to a powerful chapter. Your life will change when you wake up tomorrow and make a different choice. Your life will not change because you say, "I choose myself first." Your life will change when choosing yourself becomes visible in how you spend your time, how you protect your peace, how you speak to yourself, how you use your energy, how you handle temptation, how you respond to disrespect, how you build your habits, and how you refuse to go back to what keeps weakening you. This is where the real work begins, because it is easy to feel inspired for a moment. It is easy to say, "From today, everything changes." It is easy to imagine the stronger version of yourself. It is easy to picture the future where you are focused, peaceful, confident, respected, disciplined, and free. But it is much harder to become that person through repeated daily action. It is harder to wake up and do the work when nobody is watching. It is harder to stay silent when your old self wants to explain. It is harder to set a boundary and not feel guilty. It is harder to walk away from someone you still care about because you finally know they are not good for your peace. It is harder to work on your dream while your heart is heavy. It is harder to keep choosing yourself when the world keeps offering distractions that feel easier than healing. But the harder path is often the path that saves you. The easy path gives temporary comfort. The disciplined path gives lasting freedom. The easy path lets you return to old conversations. The disciplined path helps you build a new identity. The easy path lets you chase someone for attention. The disciplined path teaches you to give attention to your own life. The easy path lets you delay your goals. The disciplined path forces your future to respect your effort. The easy path lets you remain emotionally dependent. The disciplined path teaches you that you can stand on your own. And once you prove to yourself that you can stand on your own, something inside you changes forever. You stop begging people to become your stability. You stop making relationships your entire identity. You stop needing constant reassurance from people who are not even sure of themselves. You stop feeling destroyed every time someone becomes distant. You stop running back to old pain just because it once felt like home. You stop waiting for someone else to come and give your life meaning, because discipline slowly gives your life structure, and structure gives your mind peace. A scattered life creates a scattered mind. A chaotic routine creates chaotic emotions. A life without standards creates relationships without respect. A life without discipline creates dreams without direction. This is why you must build a routine that protects the person you are becoming. Your routine does not need to look impressive to others. It needs to be honest enough to move you forward. It may begin with waking up at a consistent time instead of letting your emotions decide when your day starts. It may begin with putting your phone away in the morning so the first voice in your head is not someone else's life, someone else's opinion, someone else's message, or someone else's absence. It may begin with moving your body so you remember that your physical strength and emotional strength are connected. It may begin with writing down your goals so your mind knows where your energy belongs. It may begin with learning one skill, reading one page, saving one small amount, cleaning one space, planning one task, taking one walk, preparing one healthy meal, finishing one piece of work, or simply refusing to do the one thing that always pulls you back into weakness. Do not disrespect small steps. Small steps repeated honestly become a new life. The person who walks for 10 minutes every day becomes different from the person who waits for motivation to exercise for 2 hours. The person who reads a few pages every day becomes different from the person who waits for the perfect time to become wise. The person who saves a little every week becomes different from the person who waits to become rich before learning discipline. The person who refuses one toxic conversation becomes different from the person who keeps entering emotional storms and calling it love. The person who keeps one promise to themselves begins to rebuild self-trust. And self-trust is one of the most powerful things you can ever regain. Because many people do not trust themselves anymore. They do not trust themselves because they have abandoned themselves too many times. They promised they would stop chasing. Then they chased again. They promised they would move on. Then they reopened the wound. They promised they would focus. Then they surrendered to distraction. They promised they would protect their peace. Then they allowed the same person to disturb it again. They promised they would build their life. Then they kept delaying it for temporary comfort. And after enough broken promises, a person begins to lose faith in their own words. They say, "I will change," but deep inside they do not believe themselves. They say, "I am done," but deep inside they know they might go back. They say, "This time is different," but deep inside their mind remembers every time they said that before. This is why discipline matters so deeply. Discipline is how you repair the relationship between you and yourself. Every promise you keep becomes evidence. Every boundary you protect becomes evidence. Every morning you show up becomes evidence. Every time you do not return to the old cycle becomes evidence. Every time you choose your future over your feelings becomes evidence, and slowly your mind begins to believe you again. Slowly your confidence becomes real, not fake confidence, not loud confidence, not confidence built on attention, appearance, praise, or someone else choosing you. Real confidence, the quiet confidence of a person who knows they can trust themselves. The quiet confidence of a person who knows they can survive loneliness without losing their standards. The quiet confidence of a person who knows they can feel pain without becoming controlled by it. The quiet confidence of a person who knows they can build even when life is not perfect. The quiet confidence of a person who no longer needs to chase because they have become a safe place for themselves. That kind of confidence cannot be given by other people. It must be built through discipline, self-respect. You must also understand that discipline is not only about work, money, health, goals, or success. Discipline is also emotional. Emotional discipline is when you refuse to let one moment of sadness make you destroy weeks of progress. Emotional discipline is when you feel the urge to send a message, but you pause long enough to remember why silence is healthier. Emotional discipline is when someone tries to provoke you, but you choose not to give them the reaction they want. Emotional discipline is when you stop explaining your worth to people who have already shown they are committed to undervaluing it. Emotional discipline is when you stop checking on people who never truly cared to check on your heart. Emotional discipline is when you stop creating stories in your mind about people who are not communicating clearly. Emotional discipline is when you stop using your pain as permission to act against your own standards. This kind of discipline is difficult because it happens in invisible moments. Nobody may see the message you did not send. Nobody may see the tear you wiped before returning to your work. Nobody may see the profile you did not check. Nobody may see the argument you refused to enter. Nobody may see the old habit you did not repeat. Nobody may see the memory you survived without going back. But you see it. Your soul sees it. Your future feels it. And every invisible victory strengthens the person you are becoming. Do not wait for others to applaud these private wins. Private wins are the foundation of public transformation. People will see the results later, but they will not always see the restraint that built them. They will see your peace, but they may not see the nights you chose silence over chasing. They will see your confidence, but they may not see the mornings you forced yourself to get up while your heart was still heavy. They will see your success, but they may not see the distractions you refused. They will see your glow, but they may not see the pain you turned into discipline. They will see the new you, but they may not understand the private battles that created that version, and that is fine. You are not building yourself for people to understand every step. You are building yourself because your life deserves your effort. You are building yourself because your future needs your loyalty. You are building yourself because the version of you that kept chasing people cannot carry the life you are meant to live. A stronger life requires a stronger identity. And identity is not built by what you wish for. Identity is built by what you repeat. If you repeat excuses, you become someone who avoids responsibility. If you repeat overthinking, you become someone who lives trapped in mental noise. If you repeat chasing, you become someone who places value outside themselves. If you repeat delay, you become someone who keeps watching opportunities pass. But if you repeat discipline, you become someone who can be trusted with a bigger life. If you repeat boundaries, you become someone who protects peace. If you repeat focus, you become someone who builds momentum. If you repeat courage, you become someone who no longer lives controlled by fear. If you repeat self-respect, you become someone who naturally stops accepting less than they deserve. This is why you must be careful about what you repeat when nobody is forcing you. Your private repetition is creating your public reality. Your private choices are building your visible life. Your private discipline is shaping the future other people will one day call luck. There are people who will look at your transformation later and say you changed suddenly, but they will not know that you changed slowly, quietly, painfully, repeatedly, through hundreds of decisions where you chose growth when the old you wanted comfort. They will not know how many times you almost gave up. They will not know how many times you wanted to return. They will not know how many times your heart wanted attention, but your self-respect chose silence. They will not know how many times you chose the hard thing because you were tired of living with easy consequences. They will not know how many times you sat with yourself and decided, again and again, that you would not betray your future for a temporary feeling. This is the hidden beauty of discipline. It makes you proud of yourself in a way that no compliment can replace. When you keep your own promises, you begin to walk differently. When you protect your peace, you begin to speak differently. When you stop chasing, you begin to love differently. When you build your routine, you begin to think differently. When you stay consistent, you begin to expect better from yourself. And when you expect better from yourself, you naturally begin to accept less from the things that once weakened you. Discipline changes your standards, not because you suddenly become arrogant, but because you finally understand what it costs to become peaceful. You know how hard it was to heal, so you stop giving access to people who enjoy reopening wounds. You know how hard it was to focus, so you stop entertaining distractions that steal your direction. You know how hard it was to rebuild confidence, so you stop staying around people who make you doubt yourself. You know how hard it was to become calm, so you stop returning to environments that turn your soul into a battlefield. This is why disciplined people become harder to manipulate, because they are no longer controlled by every feeling. They can miss someone and still not return. They can be lonely and still not lower their standards. They can be angry and still not destroy their character. They can be hurt and still not become cruel. They can be tired and still take one meaningful step. They can be misunderstood and still not beg to be seen. They can be tempted and still remember the future they are building. This is the power you must develop, because the world will not always support your growth. Some days your emotions will fight you. Some days your environment will test you. Some days people will try to pull you back into who you used to be. Some days memories will feel stronger than your goals. Some days your old habits will look comfortable. Some days you will question whether your effort is working. Some days you will feel like you are changing too slowly. Some days you will wonder if it is easier to just give up and become the old version again. But discipline teaches you to keep going even on those days, especially on those days, because anyone can choose growth when growth feels easy. The real transformation happens when you choose growth while your emotions are arguing against it. Anyone can protect peace when nobody is testing them. The real transformation happens when you protect peace while something tries to disturb it. Anyone can say they are done chasing when the person is not reaching out. The real transformation happens when they return with a little attention and you still remember your worth. Anyone can believe in themselves when everything is working. The real transformation happens when nothing is working yet and you still refuse to quit. This is where the stronger you is created, not in perfect conditions, but in repeated choices, not in emotional highs, but in quiet consistency, not in the moments where everyone sees your strength, but in the moments where only you know how much strength the choice required. You must stop looking for a shortcut around discipline. There is no shortcut to self-respect. There is no shortcut to confidence. There is no shortcut to healing. There is no shortcut to becoming someone who no longer chases people. There is no shortcut to building a life that feels peaceful and strong. You must walk the path. You must do the work. You must become patient with slow progress. You must become loyal to small actions. You must become comfortable with boring consistency. Because a new life is often built through actions that do not feel exciting in the moment. It may not feel exciting to wake up and work on yourself while others are sleeping. It may not feel exciting to say no to distractions. It may not feel exciting to sit with your emotions instead of escaping them. It may not feel exciting to save money instead of trying to impress people. It may not feel exciting to exercise when your mind is tired. It may not feel exciting to choose silence when your ego wants the last word. It may not feel exciting to walk away from someone who still has emotional power over you. But these choices create freedom, and freedom is worth more than excitement. Freedom is waking up without feeling controlled by someone's attention. Freedom is having goals that matter more than old memories. Freedom is being able to love people without losing yourself. Freedom is being able to sit alone without feeling worthless. Freedom is being able to say no without drowning in guilt. Freedom is being able to look at your life and know that you are finally participating in your own rescue. That is what discipline gives you. It gives you back to yourself. And once you have yourself, you stop being easily controlled. This is why you must make discipline personal. Do not copy someone else's life completely. Do not compare your chapter to someone else's highlight. Do not build a routine only because it looks impressive online. Build a discipline that fits the life you are trying to create. Ask yourself what kind of person your future requires. Does your future require a calmer mind? Then practice silence, reflection, and emotional control. Does your future require a stronger body? Then move, eat with respect, sleep with intention, and stop treating your body like it can be ignored forever. Does your future require financial freedom? Then learn, save, build skills, reduce waste, and stop spending money to impress people who are not building your life. Does your future require confidence? Then keep promises to yourself until your mind has no choice but to believe you. Does your future require peace? Then stop entering every conversation, every drama, every old connection, every digital distraction, and every emotional situation that steals your calm. Does your future require love? Then stop confusing love with attachment. Stop begging unavailable people to become safe, and become someone who can recognize healthy connection when it arrives. Your discipline should serve your future. It should not be about looking perfect. It should be about becoming aligned. Aligned with your peace, aligned with your values, aligned with your purpose, aligned with the version of you that no longer wants to live in emotional survival. And when discipline becomes alignment, it stops feeling like punishment. It becomes devotion. You begin to understand that going to bed on time is not boring. It is devotion to your energy. You begin to understand that refusing toxic conversations is not rude. It is devotion to your peace. You begin to understand that working on your goals is not pressure. It is devotion to your future. You begin to understand that saying no is not selfish. It is devotion to your boundaries. You begin to understand that choosing yourself is not arrogance. It is devotion to the life you almost lost while chasing people. This is how your mindset changes. You stop asking, "Why is this so hard?" You start asking, "What is this building in me?" You stop asking, why can't I just do what feels good? You start asking, will this choice respect my future? You stop asking, what if they leave? You start asking, what if I keep abandoning myself? You stop asking, how do I make them value me? You start asking, how do I live in a way that proves I value myself? These questions create maturity. They move you from emotional reaction to conscious choice. They move you from chasing people to building identity. They move you from waiting for rescue to becoming responsible. And responsibility is one of the strongest forms of power, because the moment you take responsibility for your energy, your habits, your boundaries, your attention, and your direction, you stop living like a victim of every person who disappointed you. Yes, people may have hurt you. Yes, people may have betrayed you. Yes, people may have wasted your time. Yes, people may have made you feel like you were not enough. Yes, life may have been unfair in ways you did not deserve. But discipline says, even if I did not choose what happened to me, I will choose what happens through me. Discipline says, I will not let pain become my permanent identity. Discipline says, I will not let disappointment turn me into someone who gives up on themselves. Discipline says, I will not let old wounds decide the size of my future. Discipline says, I will build anyway. This is the kind of self-love that changes everything. It is not just standing in the mirror and saying you are enough. It is living like you believe you are enough. It is not just wanting better, it is choosing better. It is not just healing from the people who hurt you. It is making sure you no longer keep hurting yourself through the choices you repeat. Because sometimes the deepest pain in your life is not only what others did to you. Sometimes it is what you kept allowing after you already knew it was breaking you. And this chapter is not here to shame you. It is here to wake you up with love. You did what you knew how to do when you were surviving. You gave too much because you wanted love. You stayed too long because you feared loss. You chased because you did not yet know your own value. You accepted less because your heart was tired and hoping. But now you know, and once you know better, discipline asks you to live better, not perfectly, but honestly, not without mistakes, but with awareness, not without pain, but with direction. You may still struggle. You may still have days where old feelings return. You may still miss people you had to leave. You may still feel tempted to chase. You may still feel afraid of being alone. You may still feel tired of building. But now you must respond differently. You must stop treating every feeling like an instruction. A feeling can visit without becoming your leader. A memory can appear without becoming your destination. A craving can rise without becoming your decision. A lonely night can hurt without becoming a reason to betray your peace. An old person can return without receiving the old access. This is emotional maturity. This is discipline. This is self-love in action. You are allowed to feel everything, but you are not required to obey everything. You are allowed to care, but you are not required to chase. You are allowed to forgive, but you are not required to reopen the door. You are allowed to miss the past, but you are not required to rebuild a home in it. You are allowed to feel weak, but you are not required to live weak. And each time you choose with wisdom instead of impulse, you become stronger. Not instantly, not magically, but deeply. You become stronger because you are proving that the old pattern does not own you anymore. You become stronger because you are showing your mind that you can survive discomfort. You become stronger because you are teaching your heart that peace matters more than attachment. You become stronger because you are becoming the kind of person who no longer needs life to be easy before they act with respect for themselves. This kind of strength will affect every part of your life. It will affect the way you love. You will love with warmth, but not desperation. You will give with kindness, but not self-erasure. You will care deeply, but not at the cost of your identity. You will listen, but not absorb everyone's chaos. You will forgive, but you will not confuse forgiveness with unlimited access. It will affect the way you work. You will stop waiting for perfect motivation. You will stop delaying your goals until your mood improves. You will stop making excuses every time growth becomes uncomfortable. You will begin showing up because you understand that your future is built through what you do repeatedly, not what you intend occasionally. It will affect the way you handle pain. You will stop using pain as proof that you are broken. You will start using pain as information. You will ask what it is teaching you. You will ask what boundary it is pointing toward. You will ask what pattern it is exposing. You will ask what part of you needs attention instead of escape. It will affect the way you choose people. You will stop being impressed by words that are not supported by action. You will stop mistaking attention for commitment. You will stop calling inconsistency a connection. You will stop confusing someone's potential with their reality. You will stop accepting people based on who they could become and start paying attention to who they repeatedly choose to be. This is how discipline protects your life. It makes you less easy to fool, less easy to distract, less easy to drain, less easy to pull back into cycles that have already cost you too much. It gives you the ability to pause before repeating the past. And sometimes one pause can save your future. One pause before replying, one pause before returning, one pause before reacting, one pause before quitting, one pause before spending, one pause before saying yes, one pause before opening the door again, one pause where you ask, is this choice building me or breaking me? That question can become a turning point because not every opportunity is aligned. Not every invitation deserves acceptance. Not every person deserves access. Not every emotion deserves action. Not every familiar place deserves return. Not every old connection deserves another chance. Not every comfort deserves your future. The disciplined person understands this. The disciplined person does not ask only, do I want this? They ask, what will this cost me? Will this cost me peace? Will this cost me focus? Will this cost me self-respect? Will this cost me healing? Will this cost me progress? Will this cost me the version of myself I am trying to build? Because sometimes what you want in the moment is exactly what will keep you stuck for another season, and sometimes what feels uncomfortable in the moment is exactly what will set you free. This is why discipline requires vision. You must be able to see beyond the feeling of right now. Right now, chasing may feel comforting, but later it may leave you feeling powerless. Right now, replying may feel satisfying, but later it may reopen confusion. Right now, procrastinating may feel easy, but later it may become regret. Right now, avoiding the work may feel peaceful, but later it may become the anxiety of wasted potential. Right now, saying yes may keep someone happy, but later it may make you resentful because you betrayed your own boundary. Discipline looks at later. Discipline respects later. Discipline protects the future version of you who will have to live with the consequences of today's choices. You must start caring about that future version. The future you who will wake up with either peace or regret. The future you who will either thank you for walking away or suffer because you went back. The future you who will either live inside the dream you built or inside the excuses you repeated. The future you who will either feel proud that you stayed disciplined or disappointed that you kept choosing temporary comfort. That future version is real, and every day you are either helping them or hurting them. Every decision is a message to your future self. When you choose discipline, you say, I care about you. When you choose boundaries, you say, I protect you. When you choose focus, you say, I believe in you. When you choose healing, you say, I want you to be free. When you choose peace over chasing, you say you no longer have to live controlled by people who did not value you. This is why discipline is love. It is love extended into tomorrow. It is love that does not only comfort the present self, but protects the future self. It is love that understands that sometimes saying no today is the kindest thing you can do for the person you are becoming. And this love must become stronger than your excuses, because excuses can sound very convincing. You may say you are too tired. You may say you are too hurt. You may say you are too busy. You may say you will start next week. You may say you need closure first. You may say you need motivation first. You may say you need support first. You may say you need someone to believe in you first. But sometimes the support you are waiting for will arrive only after you begin supporting yourself. Sometimes the motivation you are waiting for will appear only after you take action. Sometimes the confidence you are waiting for will grow only after you keep promises. Sometimes the healing you are waiting for will begin only after you stop reopening the wound. Sometimes the life you are waiting for will open only after you stop waiting and start building. This is why you cannot delay your discipline until you feel whole. Discipline is part of how you become whole. You do not wait to feel confident before keeping promises. You keep promises until confidence grows. You do not wait to feel peaceful before setting boundaries. You set boundaries until peace grows. You do not wait to feel strong before walking away. You walk away until strength grows. You do not wait to feel focused before removing distractions. You remove distractions until focus grows. This is the process. Action creates identity. Identity creates stability. Stability creates transformation, and transformation creates a life that finally feels like it belongs to you. But you must be careful, because discipline without compassion can become another way to hurt yourself. This chapter is not telling you to hate your weakness. It is not telling you to punish yourself for mistakes. It is not telling you to become so strict that you forget you are human. Real discipline includes compassion. Compassion says, I understand why I struggled. Discipline says, but I will not use that struggle as permission to stay stuck. Compassion says, I am allowed to rest. Discipline says, but I will not turn rest into escape. Compassion says, I made a mistake. Discipline says, but I will learn from it and return to the path. Compassion says, I still feel pain. Discipline says, but I will not let pain choose my future. You need both. If you only have discipline without compassion, you may become hard on yourself in a way that creates shame. If you only have compassion without discipline, you may comfort yourself into repeating the same patterns. But when compassion and discipline work together, you become powerful. You become kind to yourself without becoming weak. You become accountable without becoming cruel. You become patient without becoming passive. You become focused without becoming empty. You become strong without losing your softness. That is the balance you need, because focusing on yourself first is not about becoming someone who never feels. It is about becoming someone who feels deeply but chooses wisely. It is about becoming someone who can be gentle with their heart while still firm with their standards. It is about becoming someone who can rest without quitting, heal without hiding forever, love without chasing, forgive without returning, and build without needing every day to feel perfect. This is the version of you that discipline creates. A version of you that no longer lives at the mercy of temporary emotions. A version of you that respects time because you understand it will never return. A version of you that protects attention because you understand attention becomes life. A version of you that chooses people carefully because you understand access to your heart is valuable. A version of you that builds quietly because you understand results are born from repetition. A version of you that no longer needs to prove anything to those who are committed to misunderstanding you. A version of you that no longer chases people because your own life has become too important to abandon. And when this version begins to rise, the world around you will shift. Some people will not recognize you. Some people will say you are different. Some people will miss your old availability. Some people will test your boundaries to see if the old you is still inside. Some people will try to pull you into familiar drama. Some people will offer you the same old emotional crumbs to see if you are still hungry for them. And this is where your discipline must become stronger than nostalgia. Do not eat crumbs once you are learning how to feed yourself. Do not return to emotional poverty once you are building inner wealth. Do not accept confusion once you have tasted clarity. Do not trade peace for attention. Do not trade progress for comfort. Do not trade self-respect for temporary closeness. Do not trade the person you are becoming for the people who only valued the person you were when you had no boundaries. Your discipline is the gatekeeper of your new life. Guard that gate. Not everyone gets to enter. Not every thought gets to stay. Not every emotion gets to lead. Not every memory gets to control. Not every opportunity gets to distract. Not every person gets to return. You are allowed to be selective with your energy because your energy is building your future, You are allowed to be serious about your growth because your life is not a game. You are allowed to disappoint people who expected you to remain easy to access. You are allowed to say no without writing a long explanation. You are allowed to take your time back from people who wasted it. You are allowed to protect your peace, even if others do not understand why you need it. This is not selfish. This is stewardship. This is responsibility. This is respect for the life you have been given. And the more disciplined you become, the more you will realize that self-love is often quiet. It is not always candles, comfort, soft words, and easy moments. Sometimes self-love is going to bed instead of overthinking. Sometimes self-love is drinking water when you wanted to neglect your body. Sometimes self-love is deleting the message instead of sending it. Sometimes self-love is working on your goal while your emotions are still heavy. Sometimes self-love is refusing to explain yourself to people who only want to argue. Sometimes self-love is leaving the room before your peace leaves you. Sometimes self-love is admitting that you were wrong and choosing to grow. Sometimes self-love is starting again after you failed. Sometimes self-love is choosing the boring habit that builds the beautiful future. That is discipline. It is the invisible form of love that becomes visible through your life. And one day, when you look back, you will realize that your transformation did not happen because one person finally apologized, one person finally chose you, one person finally saw your worth, one person finally gave you closure, or one person finally came back and made everything right. Your transformation happened because you stopped waiting. You stopped waiting for them to change. You stopped waiting for motivation. You stopped waiting for perfect timing. You stopped waiting for everyone to understand. You stopped waiting for pain to disappear before you moved. You stopped waiting for someone else to rescue you from a life only you could rebuild. You began. You began with one boundary, one morning, one habit, one quiet decision. One honest conversation with yourself, one refusal to return, one moment of choosing peace, one promise kept, one step taken while your heart was still unsure, and those small beginnings slowly became a new identity. This is how discipline changes a person. At first it feels like you are forcing yourself. Then it feels like you are training yourself. Then it feels like you are trusting yourself. Then it becomes who you are. You no longer have to fight every day to not chase people, because your life has become too full of purpose to run after confusion. You no longer have to force yourself to protect peace, because peace has become your standard. You no longer have to convince yourself to work on your goals, because your goals have become part of your identity. You no longer have to beg yourself to choose better, because the old life no longer fits the person you have become. That is the reward, not perfection, not a life without pain, not a future without challenges. The reward is becoming someone who can be trusted with themselves, someone who does not abandon themselves when emotions rise, someone who does not collapse when people leave, someone who does not return to old patterns just because healing feels uncomfortable, someone who does not need the world to become easy before they become responsible, someone who can say, I am building myself now, and then live in a way that proves it. So let this chapter become a mirror. Ask yourself honestly, where do I need more discipline because I keep calling my weakness love? Where do I need more discipline because I keep calling my distraction rest? Where do I need more discipline because I keep calling my fear loyalty? Where do I need more discipline because I keep calling my attachment connection? Where do I need more discipline because I keep calling my delay patience? Where do I need more discipline because I keep calling my self-betrayal kindness? These questions may be uncomfortable, but they can save you, because until you name the pattern, you cannot break it. Until you admit what is draining you, you cannot protect your energy. Until you see where you are betraying yourself, you cannot rebuild trust. Until you accept responsibility, you cannot access power. And you are not asking these questions to punish yourself. You are asking them because your future is calling you to become honest. The future you wants more from you, not more pain, not more pressure, not more shame, more honesty, more courage, more consistency, more self-respect, more willingness to choose what builds you even when what breaks you feels familiar. The future you wants you to stop making excuses for the habits that keep you stuck. The future you wants you to stop romanticizing people who keep disturbing your peace. The future you wants you to stop delaying your own becoming. The future you wants you to understand that every day you wait for someone else to value you is another day you could have spent valuing yourself. This is your time, not tomorrow. Not when life becomes perfect, not when every wound disappears, not when everyone supports you, not when you finally feel fearless. This is your time while you are still healing. This is your time while you are still learning. This is your time while you are still rebuilding. This is your time while your heart is still finding its way back home. You do not need to become perfect to begin. You only need to become honest enough to take the next disciplined step, and then another, until one day the steps become a path. The path becomes an identity. The identity becomes a life, and the life becomes proof that you were always capable of becoming more than the person who chased, waited, begged, overgave, overthought, and lost themselves trying to be chosen. Discipline will not remove every struggle, but it will teach you how to stop becoming a prisoner of your struggles. Discipline will not make every person value you, but it will teach you how to stop placing your value in their hands. Discipline will not erase the past, but it will teach you how to stop living there. Discipline will not make growth easy, but it will make growth possible. And that is enough, because once growth becomes possible, your life is no longer trapped. Once you are no longer trapped, your future begins to open. Once your future begins to open, you start walking differently. You stop walking like someone waiting to be chosen. You start walking like someone who has chosen themselves. You stop walking like someone afraid of being left. You start walking like someone who knows they can carry their own life forward. You stop walking like someone who needs attention to feel alive. You start walking like someone whose purpose has become louder than their pain. This is what discipline does. It gives you your walk back. It gives you your voice back. It gives you your standards back. It gives you your mornings back. It gives you your mind back. It gives you your peace back. It gives you the version of yourself you almost lost while chasing people who never deserved that much power. So from today, do not only say you love yourself, show it. Show it in your routine. Show it in your boundaries. Show it in your silence. Show it in your choices. Show it in your focus. Show it in your refusal to return to what keeps weakening you. Show it in the way you keep promises to yourself even when nobody else sees them. Show it in the way you build your life even when people do not understand your path. Show it in the way you protect your peace even when loneliness tries to bargain with your standards. Show it in the way you choose your future over temporary comfort, because love that never becomes action cannot rebuild your life. But love that becomes discipline can transform everything. It can turn pain into wisdom. It can turn loneliness into focus. It can turn disappointment into direction. It can turn broken confidence into quiet power. It can turn a person who used to chase into a person who knows how to stand. And once you learn how to stand, you stop begging people to hold you. Once you learn how to build, you stop waiting for people to save you. Once you learn how to choose yourself, you stop losing yourself for people who never understood the value of what they were receiving. That is the power of discipline. That is the power of self-love in action. That is the power of focusing on yourself first. Your future is not asking for perfection. Your future is asking for loyalty. Be loyal to your peace. Be loyal to your healing. Be loyal to your standards. Be loyal to your purpose. Be loyal to the version of you that still believes a better life is possible. And every time the old life tries to pull you back, let your discipline answer before your emotions do. Let it say, "We are not chasing anymore." Let it say, "We are not begging anymore." Let it say, "We are not losing ourselves anymore." Let it say, We are building now, and then build, quietly, honestly, repeatedly, until your life becomes the evidence of the love you finally learned how to give yourself. Chapter 7. Become the person you were waiting for. There comes a moment in your life when you finally realize that the person you were waiting for may never arrive in the form you expected, because for years you may have been waiting for someone to understand your heart, someone to rescue your peace, someone to choose you without confusion, someone to apologize in a way that finally closes the wound, someone to love you so deeply that all the broken parts of you feel safe again. But the truth is that the most important person you were waiting for was never outside of you. It was the stronger version of yourself that could finally stand up and say, "I will not abandon me anymore." This is one of the deepest awakenings a person can experience, because when you spend your life waiting for other people to become the answer to your pain, you give them silent power over your healing. You begin to believe that your peace cannot return until they explain themselves, your confidence cannot rise until they validate you, your heart cannot move forward until they choose you, and your future cannot begin until someone else finally becomes honest, mature, loving, loyal, or consistent. But focusing on yourself first means taking all that power back and understanding that your life cannot remain locked behind someone else's emotional availability. You must become the person you were waiting for. Not because you never needed love, not because you never deserved support, not because people should not have treated you better, but because your life is too precious to stay paused until someone else learns how to value it. And there is a dangerous kind of suffering that begins when you keep waiting for people to become ready, while your own future keeps passing you by quietly, day after day, year after year, until one morning you wake up and realize that you spent more time waiting for someone to choose you than choosing the life that was calling you. Maybe you waited for someone to notice how much you were carrying, but they never looked closely enough to see the exhaustion behind your smile. Maybe you waited for someone to understand why you became quiet, but they only noticed your silence when it stopped benefiting them. Maybe you waited for someone to apologize for the damage they caused, but they moved on as if your pain was only a small detail in their story. Maybe you waited for someone to become consistent, but they only gave you enough attention to keep you attached and enough distance to keep you insecure. Maybe you waited for someone to finally say, "I see what I did to you," but instead you had to learn how to heal without the confession you deserved. This is where many people remain trapped, because they think healing means receiving the perfect apology, the perfect explanation, the perfect closure, the perfect conversation, the perfect return, the perfect moment where the person who hurt them finally understands everything. But real healing often begins when you accept that you may never receive those things and still decide that your life will not stay broken because someone else refused to become accountable. You must become your own closure when closure does not come. You must become your own support when support is absent. You must become your own protector when people keep crossing lines. You must become your own encourager when nobody claps. You must become your own proof when others doubt you. You must become your own safe place when the world feels unstable. You must become the person who looks at your pain and says, "I believe you, I hear you, I will not ignore you, and I will not force you to keep chasing the people who made you feel invisible." For too long, you may have looked outside yourself for the permission to feel valuable, as if someone's attention could finally confirm that you mattered, as if someone's love could finally prove that you were enough, as if someone's consistency could finally make you stop questioning your worth. But now you must understand that outside validation is too unstable to become the foundation of your life, because people change, moods change, relationships change, attention shifts, circumstances shift, and if your identity is built only on who chooses you, then every absence will feel like destruction. The person you were waiting for is the version of you who no longer makes your worth depend on unstable hands. It is the version of you who can be loved without becoming addicted to attention, who can be disappointed without collapsing, who can be rejected without deciding that life is over, who can be misunderstood without begging to be accepted, who can be alone without thinking they are empty, and who can walk away from what hurts without needing hatred to make the decision easier. This version of you does not arrive by accident. It is built through moments where you choose yourself when your old self would have chased, where you protect your peace when your old self would have explained, where you stay focused when your old self would have spiraled, where you keep your promise when your old self would have delayed, where you sit with loneliness without using it as an excuse to return to what broke you, and where you finally decide that the pain of discipline is better than the pain of repeating the same cycle. You must understand that becoming the person you were waiting for means learning to show up for yourself in the moments where you used to beg others to show up for you, because many people only discover their strength after they stop expecting unavailable people to become their shelter. And at first this can feel unfair, because you may say, "Why do I have to be strong when I was the one who was hurt?" And the answer is not because the pain was your fault, but because the healing is your responsibility, and your future deserves a version of you who refuses to let someone else's failure become your lifelong identity. There is power in admitting that you were hurt, but there is even greater power in refusing to let that hurt define the rest of your life. There is power in saying, "They disappointed me," but there is greater power in saying, "I will not disappoint myself anymore." There is power in saying, "They did not choose me," but there is greater power in saying, "I choose myself now." There is power in saying, "They wasted my time," but there is greater power in saying, "I will not waste what remains." There is power in saying, "They broke something in me," but there is greater power in saying, "I will rebuild what they never had the right to destroy." This chapter is not about pretending you never needed anyone. It is not about becoming cold, isolated, proud, or emotionally closed. It is about becoming whole enough that love becomes a blessing instead of a lifeline. Connection becomes something you enjoy instead of something you chase. People become part of your life instead of the center of your identity. And your peace no longer depends on someone else behaving perfectly. When you become the person you were waiting for, you stop demanding that others fill emptiness they did not create and may not know how to heal. You stop asking emotionally unavailable people to become your medicine. You stop expecting confused people to become your clarity. You stop expecting inconsistent people to become your stability. You stop expecting broken people to become your safe place. You stop going back to the same dry wells and wondering why you still feel thirsty. Instead, you begin to build what you once begged for. You wanted consistency, so you become consistent with your own life. You wanted honesty, so you become honest with yourself about what is hurting you. You wanted loyalty, so you become loyal to your own peace. You wanted attention, so you start giving attention to your goals, your health, your mind, your discipline, and your future. You wanted love, so you begin loving yourself through action instead of only wishing someone else would do it for you. This is not easy, because your old patterns may still whisper that being chosen by someone else would feel better than choosing yourself, and your heart may still crave the attention of people who made you feel uncertain, because pain can become familiar when you live with it long enough, and sometimes the nervous system mistakes familiar pain for safety simply because it knows what to expect from it. But growth requires you to stop trusting what is familiar and start trusting what is healthy, even when healthy feels new, quiet, and unfamiliar. You may feel uncomfortable when you first become your own support, because for so long you may have placed your emotional survival in other people's hands. You may feel guilty when you protect your peace, because you were trained to believe that loving people means being endlessly available. You may feel lonely when you stop chasing, because your old life was filled with noise, messages, drama, overthinking, waiting, and emotional highs and lows. You may feel strange when your life becomes calmer, because calm can feel empty to a person who has lived too long inside chaos. But do not confuse peace with emptiness. Peace may feel quiet because it is no longer filled with panic. Peace may feel unfamiliar because it is no longer controlled by someone's inconsistency. Peace may feel strange because your mind is no longer busy trying to decode mixed signals. Peace may feel lonely at first because the wrong people are no longer occupying every corner of your emotional world. Give peace time to become home. Give yourself time to adjust to a life that is no longer built around chasing. The person you were waiting for is the version of you who can sit inside that peace without running back to chaos, just because chaos feels familiar. It is the version of you who can say, "This quiet season is not punishment, it is preparation." It is the version of you who can say, "I am not being abandoned, I am being returned to myself." It is the version of you who can say, "I do not need to fill every empty space with the wrong people, because empty space is where my new life can begin to grow." There will be moments when your old self will try to return. It may happen late at night when memories become louder. It may happen when you see something that reminds you of the people you are trying to release. It may happen when your progress feels slow and your heart starts romanticizing the past. It may happen when someone from your old life reaches out with just enough softness to make you question your boundaries. It may happen when loneliness tells you that any connection is better than no connection, even if that connection once cost you your peace. In those moments, you must become the person you were waiting for by protecting yourself from your own weakness. You must remind yourself that missing someone does not mean they belong in your future. That feeling lonely does not mean you should lower your standards, that remembering good moments does not erase the patterns that hurt you, and that one message from the past does not deserve more power than the future you are trying to build. You must learn how to hold your own hand through emotional temptation. You must learn how to comfort yourself without betraying yourself. You must learn how to say, "I know this hurts, but we are not going back." You must learn how to say, "I know we miss them, but we missed ourselves more." You must learn how to say, "I know this silence feels heavy, but it is lighter than the confusion we survived." You must learn how to say, "I know the old road is familiar, but familiar is not the same as safe." This is what mature self-love looks like. It is not always soft. Sometimes it is firm. Sometimes it is saying no to what your emotions want, because your wisdom remembers what it cost. Sometimes it is refusing to reopen a door, even when your heart stands in front of it crying. Sometimes it is choosing the lonely path, because the crowded path was full of people who made you feel alone. Sometimes it is choosing your future while your past is still trying to negotiate with you. The person you were waiting for must also become the leader of your own mind, because a mind without leadership becomes a home for every fear, every memory, every opinion, every regret, every comparison, and every voice that tells you that you are not enough. If you do not lead your mind, your wounds will lead it. If you do not lead your thoughts, old pain will write stories inside you that may not even be true. If you do not lead your focus, other people's lives, reactions, attention, and absence will become the center of your inner world. You must stop allowing your mind to become a courtroom where you keep putting yourself on trial for other people's inability to love you correctly. You must stop asking, "What was wrong with me?" every time someone failed to value you. You must stop turning rejection into evidence that you are unworthy. You must stop turning someone's inconsistency into proof that you need to become more lovable. You must stop turning abandonment into a sentence against your future. Sometimes people do not choose you because they cannot see clearly. Sometimes people do not love you properly because they have not learned how to love anyone properly, including themselves. Sometimes people leave because your growth threatens the version of you they were comfortable controlling. Sometimes people disappoint you because they are still living from their own wounds, fears, immaturity, and limitations. Their behavior may hurt you, but it does not define your value unless you allow it to become your mirror. The person you were waiting for is the version of you who takes the mirror back. The version who says, "I will not look at myself through the eyes of people who did not know how to see me." The version who says, "I will not measure my worth by the hands that dropped me." The version who says, "I will not let someone else's blindness make me forget my own light." The version who says, "I may have been rejected, but I am not rejection itself. I may have been hurt, but I am not the wound. I may have been left, but I am not less." You must become the voice inside your mind that you needed during the years you were breaking quietly. You must speak to yourself the way you wished someone had spoken to you when your confidence was fading. You must remind yourself that you are allowed to heal slowly, you are allowed to feel deeply, you are allowed to start again, you are allowed to outgrow people, you are allowed to change your standards, you are allowed to disappoint others by finally refusing to disappoint yourself. For years, you may have been your own harshest critic while being gentle with everyone else. You gave grace to people who hurt you, but you gave judgment to yourself for being hurt. You understood other people's wounds, but you punished yourself for having needs. You forgave repeated disrespect from others, but you could not forgive yourself for staying too long. You told yourself you should have known better, should have left earlier, should have been stronger, should have seen the signs, should have protected yourself, but the truth is that you were learning, and learning often happens through pain we did not know how to avoid at the time. Becoming the person you were waiting for means forgiving yourself for the versions of you that were only trying to survive. Forgive the version of you that begged for love because they did not yet know how to give it to themselves. Forgive the version of you that stayed too long because they were afraid of being alone. Forgive the version of you that ignored the signs because they wanted to believe in someone's potential. Forgive the version of you that kept explaining because they thought understanding would create change. Forgive the version of you that lost themselves because now you are bringing them home. You cannot build your future while hating the version of you that helped you survive the past. That version may have made mistakes, but it also kept going. That version may have been too trusting, but it still had a heart. That version may have given too much, but it knew how to love. That version may have been weak in boundaries, but it was strong in hope. Do not destroy that version with shame. Educate it, heal it, guide it, and let it become wiser. The person you were waiting for is not a perfect version of you, it is an honest version of you. A version that can admit pain without becoming pain, a version that can admit mistakes without becoming shame, a version that can admit loneliness without lowering standards, a version that can admit desire for love without chasing people who cannot love properly, a version that can admit weakness without surrendering leadership to it. This is why your next level requires deep honesty. You must be honest about the people you kept chasing. You must be honest about the patterns you kept repeating. You must be honest about the excuses you made for others because you were afraid of losing them. You must be honest about the ways you used helping, giving, forgiving, and understanding as a way to avoid facing your own fear of abandonment. You must be honest about the fact that sometimes you were not only loving people, you were trying to prove that you were worthy of being kept. That truth can hurt, but it can also free you. Because once you realize that you were trying to prove your worth, you can stop auditioning for a role you were already born worthy of. You can stop performing for people who were never qualified to judge your value. You can stop giving your whole heart to connections where you were treated like an option. You can stop believing that the answer is to become more available, more patient, more silent, more forgiving, more useful, or more perfect. You do not need to become more perfect to be worthy of healthy love. You need to become more honest about where you are placing your heart. You need to become more disciplined about who gets access to your energy. You need to become more loyal to your own peace than to the fear of losing people. You need to become more committed to your future than to the comfort of familiar pain. You need to become more present in your own life than in the lives of people who keep you waiting. The person you were waiting for is also the version of you who takes responsibility without taking blame for everything. This is important because some people think self-focus means blaming themselves for all the pain they experienced, but that is not growth, that is self-punishment. Taking responsibility means saying, I may not have caused what happened, but I will decide how I heal from it. It means saying, I may not control how others behave, but I control how much access they receive. It means saying, I may not be able to change the past, but I will not keep repeating it through my choices. There is power in responsibility because responsibility returns movement to your life. Blame keeps you stuck in what happened. Responsibility moves you toward what can happen next. Blame says, they ruined me. Responsibility says, they hurt me, but I will rebuild. Blame says, I cannot move until they fix what they broke. Responsibility says, I may never get their repair, but I will become my own restoration. Blame says, my story ended there. Responsibility says, that was a chapter, not the final page. You must become the author of the next page. You must stop letting old characters write your future. You must stop letting people who left continue controlling the story through your overthinking. You must stop letting the ones who misunderstood you become the narrators of your identity. You must stop letting one painful season become the title of your entire life. Your story is bigger than who did not choose you. Your story is bigger than the person who walked away. Your story is bigger than the relationship that failed, the friendship that ended, the betrayal that changed you, the rejection that wounded you, and the silence that forced you to face yourself. Your story is also about the moment you stood up again. It is about the day you stopped chasing and started building. It is about the morning you chose your future over your feelings. It is about the night you cried but did not go back. It is about the boundary you kept even when guilt tried to weaken it. It is about the quiet discipline nobody saw. It is about the way you rebuilt confidence from small promises. It is about the way you became someone who could hold their own heart with respect. The person you were waiting for must become a builder, because healing is not only about removing what hurt you, it is also about creating what strengthens you. You cannot only say, I am done with toxic people, and then leave your life empty. You must fill your life with habits, goals, routines, values, spaces, and connections that make your soul stronger. You must build something worth waking up for. You must build a reason to stay focused. You must build a future that becomes louder than the past. Build your mind until overthinking no longer controls every room inside you. Build your body until you feel strength returning through your posture, your breath, your movement, and your energy. Build your discipline until your promises to yourself become more powerful than your excuses. Build your financial awareness until you stop living only to survive and start preparing for freedom. Build your skills until your confidence is not only emotional but practical. Build your peace until drama feels uncomfortable instead of familiar. Build your identity until you no longer need people to remind you who you are. This is how you stop waiting for rescue. You become the rescue. You become the one who wakes up and says, I am responsible for the atmosphere of my life. You become the one who says, I will not let my phone control my mood today. You become the one who says, I will not let someone's absence make me absent from my own purpose. You become the one who says, I will not let the fear of being alone make me return to places where I was lonely anyway. You become the one who says, I will build even if nobody understands why I became quiet. Some days becoming that person will feel natural, and other days it will feel like a battle against every old habit you ever had. There will be days when you feel powerful, and days when you feel like you are starting from zero again. There will be days when your focus is clear, and days when one memory shakes your whole spirit. There will be days when you feel free, and days when attachment tries to convince you that freedom is too painful. Do not mistake difficult days for failure. Difficult days are where your new identity is tested and strengthened. A strong person is not someone who never feels the pull of the past. A strong person is someone who feels the pull and still chooses the future. A healed person is not someone who never remembers the wound. A healed person is someone who remembers without reopening it. A disciplined person is not someone who never wants comfort. A disciplined person is someone who chooses what is right even when comfort is begging for control. A self-respecting person is not someone who never misses people. A self-respecting person is someone who refuses to use missing as a reason to be mistreated again. This is why you must stop judging your progress by how little you feel and start judging it by what you choose while feeling. If you miss them but do not chase, that is progress. If you feel angry but do not destroy your peace, that is progress. If you feel lonely but do not lower your standards, that is progress. If you feel sad but still take care of your body, that is progress. If you feel unmotivated but still take one step toward your goal, that is progress. If you feel tempted to return but remember your worth, that is progress. The person you are waiting for is built through progress like that, not through sudden perfection. Every quiet decision matters. Every time you choose yourself, you cast a vote for a new identity. Every time you refuse to chase, you tell your spirit that it is safe with you. Every time you protect your energy, you tell your future that it matters. Every time you keep a boundary, you tell your past that it is no longer leading. Every time you return to your purpose, you tell your pain that it will not become your prison. You must also become patient enough to let your new life feel strange at first, because when you have spent years losing yourself for others, focusing on yourself can feel unfamiliar. And when you have spent years waiting for someone else's attention, giving attention to your own life can feel slow, boring, or even lonely. But do not quit simply because peace does not give the same rush as chaos. Chaos gives intensity, but peace gives stability. Chaos gives emotional highs, but peace gives mental clarity. Chaos makes you feel alive for a moment, but peace gives you a life you do not need to escape from. Your nervous system may need time to understand that calm is not danger. Your heart may need time to understand that not chasing is not losing. Your mind may need time to understand that silence is not abandonment. Your identity may need time to understand that you are still valuable even when nobody is giving you constant attention. Be patient with yourself while you learn a new way of living. You are not only changing habits, you are changing what feels normal. One day, the new normal will feel beautiful. You will wake up and realize that you no longer check your worth through someone's reply. You will go through the day and realize that someone's mood did not control your peace. You will face memories and realize they no longer pull you back with the same force. You will sit alone and realize loneliness has become solitude. You will look at old patterns and realize they no longer feel like home. You will feel your own presence and realize that you are not empty without the people you once chased. That day will not arrive by accident. It will arrive because you kept choosing yourself through seasons where choosing yourself felt difficult. It will arrive because you stopped giving your energy to people who were not building you. It will arrive because you built in silence. It will arrive because you allowed the real you to breathe. It will arrive because discipline became self-love in action. It will arrive because you became the person you were waiting for. And when you become that person, you begin to love differently. You no longer love from desperation, you love from wholeness. You no longer give because you are afraid of being left. You give because your heart is generous, but your wisdom now protects your boundaries. You no longer stay in places that destroy your peace just to prove your loyalty. You understand that loyalty to others should never require betrayal of yourself. You no longer confuse attachment with destiny. You understand that what is meant for you will not require you to become less of yourself to keep it. You also begin to leave differently. You no longer leave with the same rage, chaos, begging, proving, and emotional collapse that once defined your endings. You leave with clarity. You leave with grief, yes, but also with respect for yourself. You leave when the pattern becomes clear. You leave when the energy becomes harmful. You leave when the connection requires self-abandonment. You leave when staying would cost the person you are becoming. You leave without needing to make someone the villain, because sometimes the only truth you need is that the environment no longer supports your growth. This kind of leaving is not weakness, it is maturity. It is the quiet strength of someone who understands that not every person is evil, but not every person is aligned. Not every connection is toxic, but not every connection is healthy for your future. Not every ending needs hatred, but some endings need honesty. Not every goodbye means failure. Sometimes goodbye means you finally learned how to stop forcing what keeps breaking you. The person you were waiting for knows how to let go without losing their heart. They can release people and still wish them peace. They can walk away and still remain kind. They can forgive without reopening the door. They can carry love without carrying attachment. They can remember the good without returning to the bad. They can accept that something mattered and still understand that it is not meant to continue. This is emotional freedom. Emotional freedom is not the absence of feeling. Emotional freedom is when feeling no longer controls your direction. It is when you can feel love and still choose self-respect. It is when you can feel nostalgia and still choose reality. It is when you can feel pain and still choose healing. It is when you can feel fear and still choose growth. It is when you can feel alone and still choose not to chase. You must become emotionally free, because a person who is not emotionally free can be controlled by anyone who knows how to trigger their wounds. A little attention can pull them back. A little guilt can make them abandon boundaries. A little silence can make them panic. A little criticism can destroy their confidence. A little rejection can make them question their entire identity. But when you become emotionally free, you stop being controlled by every emotional wave. You become grounded. You feel the wave, but you do not become the wave. Grounded people are powerful because they are not easily moved by temporary things. They do not let one bad day destroy their whole direction. They do not let one person's opinion define their self-image. They do not let one rejection cancel their belief in themselves. They do not let one memory return them to the past. They do not let loneliness choose their relationships. They do not let fear choose their future. They stand inside themselves with quiet authority. That quiet authority is what you are building. Not loud arrogance, not cold pride, not fake confidence. Quiet authority, the kind of presence that says, I know who I am now. The kind of presence that says, I do not need to beg to be seen. The kind of presence that says, I can love you, but I will not lose me. The kind of presence that says, I am open to connection, but I am no longer available for confusion. The kind of presence that says, my peace is not for sale. When you carry that energy, your life begins to filter itself. The wrong people may find you less useful because you no longer overgive. The manipulative people may find you harder to control because you no longer move from guilt. The inconsistent people may find you less available because you no longer chase. The draining people may find you distant because you no longer hand them unlimited access. But the right people will feel safer around the real you because they are not looking for someone to use, control, or drain. They are looking for someone honest, grounded, growing, and whole. This is why becoming the person you were waiting for does not push away real love. It prepares you for it. It makes you capable of choosing from wisdom instead of wounds. It makes you able to receive calm connection without running back to chaos. It makes you able to recognize mutual effort instead of being impressed by empty words. It makes you able to build with people instead of chasing them. It makes you able to love without making love your only identity. But until that love arrives, you must still live fully. Do not make your life a waiting room again. Do not say, I will be happy when the right person comes. Do not say, I will start living when someone chooses me. Do not say, I will become confident when people appreciate me. Do not say, I will begin my future when I no longer feel alone. That is the old pattern wearing a new face. Your life begins now, not when someone enters it. Travel inside your own dreams. Build your routine. Develop your mind. Heal your heart. Strengthen your body. Improve your skills. Organize your space. Protect your peace. Create something meaningful. Learn how to enjoy your own company. Give yourself moments that remind you life is still beautiful. Stop waiting for another person to make your days feel valuable. Your days are valuable because they belong to you. There is something deeply powerful about a person who stops waiting and starts living. They no longer walk around like an unfinished sentence waiting for someone else to complete them. They no longer treat their own life like a backup plan while they chase a place in someone else's. They no longer postpone joy until they receive approval. They begin to move with the energy of someone who has finally understood that life is happening now. And if they keep waiting to be chosen, they may miss the life that was already choosing them. You must realize that your purpose may have been waiting behind your distractions. Your confidence may have been waiting behind your broken promises. Your peace may have been waiting behind your boundaries. Your future may have been waiting behind your decision to finally stop chasing. Your stronger self may have been waiting behind the grief of letting go. Sometimes the life you want is not far away. It is simply buried under everything you keep giving your energy to that is not truly yours. So remove what is not yours. Remove the need to be liked by everyone. Remove the habit of proving your heart to people who do not value it. Remove the belief that you must be chosen to be worthy. Remove the emotional addiction to inconsistency. Remove the old identity that says your love must suffer to be real. Remove the guilt that appears when you finally protect yourself. Remove the fear that says peace will leave you lonely forever. Remove the noise until you can hear your own life calling again. Then answer that call. Answer it with action. Answer it with discipline. Answer it with boundaries. Answer it with courage. Answer it with the daily choice to become better. Not because someone hurt you, not because someone doubted you, not because someone left, but because you finally decided that your life deserves your best energy. Do not build yourself only as a reaction to people who hurt you. Build yourself because you are worthy of becoming. Build yourself because your dreams matter, even if nobody claps yet. Build yourself because your younger self deserved protection and your future self deserves freedom. Build yourself because there is a version of you that still exists beneath the pain, and that version is waiting for you to stop feeding everything that keeps it buried. The person you were waiting for is the one who will reach down into that buried place and bring you back to life. That person is the one who says, "You are not too broken to begin again." That person is the one who says, "You are not too late." That person is the one who says, "You are not the mistakes you made when you were hurting." That person is the one who says, "You are not the people who left." That person is the one who says, "You are still here, and because you are still here, we can still build." Those words matter because many people give up on themselves silently long before they say it openly. They continue living, working, smiling, helping, and answering messages, but inside they have stopped believing anything can truly change. They think they are too damaged, too behind, too tired, too ordinary, too unlucky, too unwanted, too misunderstood, too old, too late, too broken. But the person you were waiting for must challenge those lies with action. You are not too damaged to heal. You are not too behind to begin. You are not too tired to take one small step. You are not too ordinary to build something meaningful. You are not too unlucky to make better choices. You are not too unwanted to become deeply valuable to yourself. You are not too misunderstood to live with truth. You are not too late to become someone your future self will be proud of. You are not too broken to rebuild, because broken pieces can become the foundation of a stronger life when you stop using them as proof that you are finished. Every person who rebuilds begins with something broken. Broken trust, broken confidence, broken plans, broken relationships, broken identity, broken peace, broken dreams. But rebuilding does not require the past to be clean. It requires a decision. It requires the decision to stop worshipping what wounded you. It requires the decision to stop living inside the moment that hurt you. It requires the decision to stop making your pain the main character of your future. It requires the decision to become more committed to restoration than repetition. Restoration begins when you stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" as the only question, and start asking, "What can I become from here?" This does not mean the pain was good. It does not mean the disappointment was fair. It does not mean the betrayal was acceptable. It means you are no longer willing to let the worst parts of your story have the final authority over who you become. You can become wiser without becoming bitter. You can become stronger without becoming cruel. You can become selective without becoming closed. You can become peaceful without becoming passive. You can become loving without becoming desperate. You can become independent without rejecting healthy connection. You can become powerful without losing your softness. That is the person you were waiting for, the version of you who has been through pain but refuses to become a copy of what caused it. This matters deeply because when people are hurt, they often think the only way to survive is to become hard, but hardness is not the same as strength. A hard heart may protect you from feeling, but it can also block you from receiving. A hard heart may keep people away, but it may also keep joy away. A hard heart may look powerful, but sometimes it is only pain wearing armor. True strength is different. True strength allows you to remain kind without being naive, open without being careless, loving without chasing, forgiving without forgetting your boundaries, and peaceful without allowing disrespect. Do not let pain steal the beauty of your heart. Let it teach your heart wisdom. Let it teach you where not to pour. Let it teach you who not to chase. Let it teach you what patterns to recognize. Let it teach you how to protect what is sacred inside you. Let it teach you that love is not proven by suffering endlessly. Let it teach you that choosing yourself is not betrayal. Sometimes it is the first honest love you have ever practiced. The person you were waiting for will not only protect you from others, but also from the parts of yourself that keep trying to return to what is familiar. This is important because sometimes the biggest battle is not with the people who hurt you. It is with the version of you that still wants their approval. It is with the part of you that still believes one perfect conversation could fix everything. It is with the part of you that still wants to prove you are worth more. It is with the part of you that still wants them to regret, return, understand, or choose you so your pain can feel validated. You must comfort that part of yourself, but you must not let it lead. Tell that part, I know why you want them to understand, but we understand now, and that is enough. Tell that part, I know why you want them to regret losing us, but our healing cannot depend on their regret. Tell that part, I know why you want them to choose us, but we are choosing ourselves now. Tell that part, I know why you want to go back, but we are building forward. This is how you become internally united. For a long time you may have been divided inside yourself. One part wanted peace, another part wanted the person. One part wanted growth, another part wanted comfort. One part knew the truth, another part kept making excuses. One part wanted to leave, another part feared loneliness. One part wanted to focus, another part wanted distraction. Becoming the person you were waiting for means bringing those parts into alignment under the leadership of your wisest self. Your wisest self knows what your wounded self keeps forgetting. Your wisest self knows that attention is not the same as love. Your wisest self knows that words without change are not enough. Your wisest self knows that peace is more valuable than emotional intensity. Your wisest self knows that being alone is better than being constantly confused. Your wisest self knows that a delayed dream can become a deep regret if you keep giving your energy to the wrong people. Your wisest self knows that you do not need to hate the past to stop living there. Let your wisest self lead now. Not your fear, not your attachment, not your loneliness, not your guilt, not your anger, not your memories, not your need to be chosen. Let wisdom lead, let clarity lead, let self-respect lead. Let the version of you that wants a better future become louder than the version of you that only wants temporary comfort. The more your wisest self leads, the more you begin to see that your life is not small. Your life is not only about who loved you, who hurt you, who left, who stayed, who ignored you, who misunderstood you, or who failed to value you. Your life is also about what you build, what you learn, who you become, how you heal, how you serve, how you grow, how you rise, how you create, how you love yourself, how you protect your peace, and how you turn pain into wisdom that can guide the rest of your journey. You must expand your vision of life beyond people. This does not mean people do not matter, because relationships can be beautiful, meaningful, and deeply healing. But if your entire life becomes centered around people's reactions to you, then your soul will never feel free. There are dreams you have not touched yet. There are abilities you have not developed yet. There are places inside your mind you have not explored yet. There are strengths you have not discovered yet. There are chapters you have not lived yet. Do not let one person, one heartbreak, one rejection, or one season convince you that the whole story is finished. Your life has rooms you have not entered. Your future has doors you have not opened. Your mind has power you have not trained. Your heart has depth you have not fully honored. Your discipline has strength you have not fully tested. Your peace has levels you have not yet experienced. Your purpose has a voice you have not fully followed. You are not done. You are not finished. You are not only what happened to you, you are also what you choose next. And what you choose next must be yourself, not in a selfish way, but in a sacred way. Choose yourself by refusing to keep betraying your needs. Choose yourself by leaving what repeatedly leaves you empty. Choose yourself by making your health a priority. Choose yourself by working on the skills that can change your life. Choose yourself by speaking to yourself with respect. Choose yourself by no longer laughing at disrespect. Choose yourself by letting go of people who only love you when you are easy to control. Choose yourself by becoming disciplined enough to build the life you keep imagining. Choosing yourself first does not mean you never choose others. It means you no longer choose others by abandoning yourself. It means your love now has wisdom. It means your kindness now has boundaries. It means your patience now has limits. It means your loyalty now includes loyalty to your own peace. It means your generosity no longer gives people permission to drain you. It means you can still be a good person without becoming an empty person. This is the balance that changes everything. You do not have to become selfish to stop being used. You do not have to become cruel to stop being hurt. You do not have to become silent forever to stop explaining. You do not have to become lonely forever to stop chasing. You do not have to become closed to stop overgiving. You simply have to become rooted. A rooted person can love without losing themselves. A rooted person can give without becoming empty. A rooted person can listen without absorbing every burden. A rooted person can care without being controlled. A rooted person can stand in a storm without becoming the storm. Root yourself in your values. Root yourself in your purpose. Root yourself in your discipline. Root yourself in your self-respect. Root yourself in the truth that your worth does not disappear when someone fails to recognize it. Root yourself in the truth that your future is still open. Root yourself in the truth that you can begin again. Root yourself so deeply that the winds of people's opinions, attention, rejection, and inconsistency no longer uproot your entire identity. When you are rooted, you stop living like every ending is death. You understand that some endings are pruning. Some endings remove what was draining your growth. Some endings create space for new life. Some endings break your heart open so truth can finally enter. Some endings feel like rejection at first, but later reveal themselves as protection. Some endings force you to meet the version of yourself you kept neglecting while trying to keep someone else. Do not fear the endings that bring you back to yourself. Fear staying so long in the wrong place that you forget you are allowed to grow. Fear becoming so attached to being chosen that you stop choosing your purpose. Fear becoming so addicted to emotional survival that peace feels boring. Fear living the same year again and again because you are afraid to release what keeps you stuck. Healthy fear is not meant to paralyze you, it is meant to wake you up. Wake up now, not with panic but with power. Wake up to the truth that your time matters. Wake up to the truth that your energy matters. Wake up to the truth that your mind matters. Wake up to the truth that your dreams matter. Wake up to the truth that your peace matters. Wake up to the truth that you are not here to be an emotional waiting room for people who come and go whenever they feel lonely. Wake up to the truth that you have a life to build and that life needs you present. Presence is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself. Be present with your healing instead of escaping into old habits. Be present with your goals instead of disappearing into distractions. Be present with your body instead of ignoring its needs. Be present with your emotions instead of letting them secretly control you. Be present with your life instead of mentally living inside someone else's choices. When you become present, you begin to notice how much of your suffering was coming from being everywhere except here. You were in the past, replaying what happened. You were in the future, fearing what might happen. You were in other people's minds, wondering what they thought. You were in other people's lives, comparing your path to theirs. You were in old conversations, rewriting what you should have said. You were in possible outcomes, trying to control things that were not yours to control, but you were not fully with yourself. Becoming the person you were waiting for means returning to the present and saying, "This is where I build." Build today, not the whole life at once, just today. Choose one honest action today. Keep one promise today. Protect one boundary today. Take one step today. Stop one harmful habit today. Speak one kind truth to yourself today. Refuse one old pattern today. Give 1 hour to your future today. That is how a life changes, not through one dramatic transformation, but through repeated returns to what matters. The person you were waiting for is created through those returns. Return when you drift. Return when you fall. Return when you feel weak. Return when you get distracted. Return when old emotions rise. Return when you make a mistake. Return when you are tired. Return when you are tempted to quit. Return when you feel behind. Return when you feel unseen. Return to yourself again and again until returning becomes natural and self-abandonment becomes unfamiliar. There is no shame in returning. Shame says, "You failed, so stop trying." Wisdom says, "You slipped, so come back stronger." Shame says, "You should already be over this." Wisdom says, "Healing takes time, but you are moving." Shame says, "You are weak because you still feel." Wisdom says, "Feeling is human, but choosing differently is growth." Shame says, "Nothing has changed." Wisdom says, "Every time you return, something changes." Do not let shame become the voice of your growth. Shame will make you hide, and what hides cannot heal. Let honesty lead instead. Honesty allows you to say, "I still struggle, but I am not giving up." Honesty allows you to say, "I still miss what hurt me, but I am learning why." Honesty allows you to say, "I still want love, but I will not chase confusion." Honesty allows you to say, "I am not perfect, but I am finally participating in my own healing." That participation is everything. For too long you may have been waiting passively for life to change, waiting for people to act right, waiting for pain to fade, waiting for confidence to appear, waiting for motivation to return, waiting for the perfect sign, waiting for the perfect moment. But the person you are waiting for does not only wait, they participate, they make choices, they create movement, they accept responsibility, they start before they feel ready, they build while still healing. You do not need to wait until every wound is closed before you begin building. Sometimes building is part of closing the wound. You do not need to wait until you feel completely confident before you take action. Sometimes action is how confidence grows. You do not need to wait until you are no longer lonely before you stop chasing. Sometimes stopping the chase is how you learn to be with yourself. You do not need to wait until life feels easy before you become disciplined. Sometimes discipline is how life becomes clearer. Begin where you are. Begin with the energy you have. Begin with the pain you are carrying. Begin with the lessons you learned. Begin with the small courage that is still alive inside you. Begin even if nobody understands. Begin even if your voice shakes. Begin even if your heart is still tender. Begin even if your past is still loud. Begin because the life you want will not arrive while you keep postponing your own becoming. This chapter is the turning point where you stop asking life to send someone to complete you and begin asking yourself how to become whole. Wholeness does not mean you never need anyone. Wholeness means you no longer use people to avoid yourself. Wholeness means you can receive love without becoming dependent on it for identity. Wholeness means you can lose people without losing yourself. Wholeness means you can stand alone without feeling worthless. Wholeness means your inner foundation is not destroyed every time someone outside you changes. This is the foundation you must build now. A foundation made of self-trust, self-respect, discipline, clarity, honesty, boundaries, purpose, and peace. Without this foundation, even good things can overwhelm you, because if you do not know who you are, you may lose yourself in love, success, approval, attention, or opportunity. But with this foundation, you can receive blessings without becoming controlled by them. You can love deeply without disappearing. You can succeed without becoming empty. You can be seen without needing applause to survive. The person you were waiting for is not only strong in pain, but also wise in blessing. They know how to handle love without losing standards. They know how to handle attention without becoming addicted to it. They know how to handle success without forgetting themselves. They know how to handle solitude without turning it into isolation. They know how to handle disappointment without becoming bitter. They know how to handle growth without looking down on others. They know how to handle peace without running back to chaos. This is the kind of person you are becoming. Someone balanced, someone grounded, someone emotionally mature, someone who understands that life will still test them, but they no longer have to betray themselves during the test. Someone who understands that people may still disappoint them, but disappointment no longer has to destroy their identity. Someone who understands that love may still come and go, but self-respect must remain. Someone who understands that the past may still speak sometimes, but it no longer gets to command. You may not see this person fully yet, but they are already forming. They form every time you listen to a chapter like this and decide to take it seriously. They form every time you pause before reacting. They form every time you choose a better habit. They form every time you tell yourself the truth. They form every time you protect your peace. They form every time you focus on your future instead of chasing someone's attention. They form every time you stop asking, "Why did they not choose me?" and start asking, "How can I choose myself more honestly today?" One day you will look back at this season and understand why it was necessary. You will understand why certain people could not come with you. You will understand why the silence had to happen. You will understand why the disappointment woke you up. You will understand why the loneliness became a classroom. You will understand why the pain forced you inward. You will understand why the chase had to end. You will understand that life was not trying to destroy you. It was trying to return you to the person you kept abandoning. And when that understanding arrives, you will not be angry in the same way. You may still remember what hurt, but you will no longer be owned by it. You may still feel sadness for what did not become what you hoped, but you will also feel gratitude that you did not stay trapped forever. You may still think of certain people, but you will no longer feel the need to shrink yourself to return to them. You will realize that some things had to break because they were built on self-abandonment, and your future required a stronger foundation. That future is not far from you. It begins in the next decision. It begins in the way you speak to yourself after this audiobook ends. It begins in whether you pick up your phone to chase the old life or put it down and choose the new one. It begins in whether you keep waiting for someone to validate you or finally validate your own effort. It begins in whether you return to the same pattern or take one step toward the person you are becoming. Do not underestimate the next decision. The next decision can become a door. One decision to stop chasing can open the door to peace. One decision to build a routine can open the door to confidence. One decision to protect your energy can open the door to clarity. One decision to walk away can open the door to healing. One decision to forgive yourself can open the door to self-trust. One decision to begin again can open the door to a life you once thought was impossible. You are always one honest decision away from returning to your power. Not one perfect year, not one perfect person, not one perfect opportunity. One honest decision, and then another, and then another. This is how becoming happens. It happens in layers. First, you stop chasing. Then you start seeing clearly. Then you stop losing yourself. Then you protect your energy. Then you build in silence. Then you allow the real you to breathe. Then you turn self-love into discipline. And finally, you become the person you were waiting for, not because the world finally became fair, not because everyone finally understood, not because the pain never existed, but because you decided that your life was still worth building. That decision is sacred. Protect it. When people try to pull you back, protect it. When loneliness gets loud, protect it. When memories soften the truth, protect it. When old habits return with familiar excuses, protect it. When progress feels slow, protect it. When nobody notices your effort, protect it. When your emotions ask for the past, protect it. Protect the decision to choose yourself first, because that decision is the seed of the future you are praying to live. And remember, choosing yourself first does not mean your heart becomes empty of love. It means your love finally has a home inside you too. It means you stop giving everyone else a place in your heart while leaving yourself outside the door. It means you stop becoming homeless inside your own life because you are trying to belong to people who do not know how to hold you. It means you finally say, I belong to myself first, and from that place I can love others with wisdom. This is the love that lasts. The love that begins with self-respect. The love that does not require begging. The love that does not require performance. The love that does not require losing yourself. The love that does not make you chase, shrink, break, or disappear. The love that says, I can care deeply and still protect my peace. The love that says, I can open my heart without throwing away my standards. The love that says, I can want connection without being controlled by the fear of being alone. When you reach this place, people will feel the difference in you. They may not know exactly what changed, but they will sense that your energy is no longer desperate. They will sense that your silence is no longer weakness. They will sense that your kindness now has boundaries. They will sense that your presence is calmer because your mind is no longer begging for acceptance. They will sense that you are still loving, but no longer easy to drain. They will sense that you have become someone who can stand, and standing is powerful. Stand when old people return with old patterns. Stand when life tests your boundaries. Stand when your heart feels tired. Stand when your growth is misunderstood. Stand when the room does not clap. Stand when the past calls. Stand when your future feels far. Stand when the only person cheering for you is you. Stand because the person you were waiting for is not the one who never falls. It is the one who keeps standing back up with more truth, more wisdom, more courage, and more love for the life they are building. You are becoming that person now. You are becoming the one who no longer begs for a seat at tables where your soul cannot breathe. You are becoming the one who no longer confuses emotional crumbs with love. You are becoming the one who no longer makes excuses for people who repeatedly disturb your peace. You are becoming the one who no longer abandons dreams for distractions. You are becoming the one who no longer waits for someone else to make life meaningful. You are becoming the one who no longer says, why was I not enough? And starts saying, I was enough, but I was offering myself to people who could not receive me properly. That sentence alone can change your life. You were enough, but you were in the wrong places. You were enough, but you were asking the wrong people. You were enough, but you were trying to be valued by people who did not even value themselves correctly. You were enough, but you kept shrinking to fit into spaces that were too small for your growth. You were enough, but you did not know how to protect your enoughness from people who treated it like it was ordinary. Now you know, and because you know, you must live differently. Knowledge without change becomes another form of pain, because once your eyes open, it hurts more to keep repeating what you can clearly see. So do not only understand this chapter, become it. Let it enter your habits. Let it enter your standards. Let it enter your mornings. Let it enter your silence. Let it enter your choices. Let it enter the way you love, the way you leave, the way you build, the way you forgive, the way you begin again. Become the person who does not need to be pushed to protect their peace. Become the person who does not need heartbreak to start focusing. Become the person who does not need rejection to remember their value. Become the person who does not need crisis to become disciplined. Become the person who does not need people to leave before realizing they were never truly building you. Become the person who chooses growth before pain forces growth. This is the next level, not simply recovering from what happened, but becoming so awake that you no longer need the same lesson repeated through different people. You recognize the pattern earlier. You honor your intuition sooner. You leave with less damage. You choose with more wisdom. You stop mistaking red flags for challenges you can fix with love. You stop believing your patience can heal someone who refuses to become responsible. The person you were waiting for trusts their own intuition again. They no longer ignore the feeling that something is off just because they want something to work. They no longer silence the inner voice that says, "This is not peaceful." They no longer dismiss the body's tension, the mind's exhaustion, the heart's heaviness, and the spirit's warning signs. They listen, they pay attention, they understand that their peace often knows the truth before their attachment is ready to accept it. Trust yourself again. Not blindly, not arrogantly, but honestly. Trust the part of you that has survived enough to recognize danger. Trust the part of you that knows when you are shrinking. Trust the part of you that feels when a connection is draining more than it is giving. Trust the part of you that wants peace even when your wounded self wants attention. Trust the part of you that keeps whispering, "There is more for us than this." There is more for you than chasing. There is more for you than waiting. There is more for you than being half-loved. There is more for you than emotional confusion. There is more for you than proving your worth. There is more for you than living as a backup option in someone else's life. There is more for you than waking up every day with your mind full of people who are not building your future. There is more for you than the old cycle, but more requires you to release less. More peace requires releasing drama. More confidence requires releasing self-betrayal. More purpose requires releasing distraction. More love requires releasing attachment to people who cannot love you well. More growth requires releasing the identity of someone who keeps waiting to be rescued. You cannot carry everything into the next version of your life. Some things must be put down, some stories must be retired, some habits must be broken, some people must be loved from a distance, some memories must be honored without being obeyed, some dreams must be revived, some boundaries must be strengthened, some standards must be raised, some promises must finally be kept. This is the sacred work of becoming. It is not always exciting, but it is meaningful. It is not always easy, but it is freeing. It is not always seen, but it is shaping you. It is not always comfortable, but it is necessary. And when the work feels heavy, remember who you are doing it for. You are doing it for the version of you who cried quietly and still kept going. You are doing it for the version of you who was ignored, but still loved deeply. You are doing it for the version of you who waited too long and now deserves movement. You are doing it for the version of you who forgot their worth and now deserves to remember. You are doing it for the future you who wants to live without carrying the same old pain. That future you is watching the choices you make now. They are hoping you do not go back. They are hoping you protect the boundary. They are hoping you choose the routine. They are hoping you stop checking the door that closed. They are hoping you stop asking people to become what they have repeatedly shown they are not ready to be. They are hoping you believe in the life that still wants to be built through you. Do not disappoint that future self for temporary comfort. Do not trade their peace for old attention. Do not trade their confidence for familiar confusion. Do not trade their freedom for emotional nostalgia. Do not trade their growth for a place in someone else's inconsistent life. The future you deserves better from the present you. And the beautiful truth is that you are capable of giving better. You are capable of changing your patterns. You are capable of building discipline. You are capable of healing. You are capable of learning to love yourself through action. You are capable of walking away. You are capable of starting over. You are capable of becoming steady. You are capable of becoming peaceful. You are capable of becoming powerful without becoming cruel. You are capable of becoming whole without becoming closed. You are capable of becoming the person you were waiting for. Do not let the past convince you otherwise. The past only knows who you were. It does not have the final authority over who you can become. The people who hurt you only experienced one version of you. They do not know the version that will rise from this decision. They do not know the discipline you are about to build. They do not know the peace you are about to protect. They do not know the strength that is forming inside you. They do not know the future that begins when you stop chasing and start choosing yourself. Let them know the old you if they must. You are not required to remain understandable to people who only knew you when you had no boundaries. You are not required to keep living as proof of what happened to you. You are not required to perform weakness so others feel comfortable. You are not required to explain every step of your healing. You are not required to make your growth acceptable to people who benefited from your self-abandonment. You are allowed to become new. You are allowed to become quiet. You are allowed to become focused. You are allowed to become unavailable to the things that once controlled you. You are allowed to become difficult to reach for people who only reach when they need something. You are allowed to become loyal to your future. You are allowed to become the answer you kept searching for in everyone else. This is where the chase ends, not because nobody matters, not because love does not matter, not because connection is not beautiful, but because you finally matter too. Your peace matters too. Your growth matters too. Your dreams matter too. Your future matters too. Your heart matters too. Your life matters too. And if you keep living as if everyone else's needs matter more than your own soul, you will keep becoming a stranger to yourself. No more. No more abandoning yourself to be accepted. No more shrinking yourself to be kept. No more chasing attention while your future waits. No more calling confusion love. No more calling self-betrayal loyalty. No more calling emotional exhaustion connection. No more waiting for someone else to become the person you needed. Become that person now. Become the one who protects you. Become the one who builds you. Become the one who respects you. Become the one who believes in you. Become the one who chooses you. Become the one who does not leave you every time someone else does. And as this final chapter settles into your heart, understand that the journey of focusing on yourself first is not a temporary mood. It is a new way of living, a new standard, a new identity, and a new promise that says your life will no longer be built around chasing people who are not building with you. From this moment forward, your energy returns home, your attention returns home, your love returns home, your discipline returns home, your dreams return home, your peace returns home, and home is you. So stand up inside your own life. Stop waiting at doors that keep closing. Stop calling absence a challenge. Stop calling pain a connection. Stop begging for people to see what you must finally see in yourself. You are worthy of effort. You are worthy of peace. You are worthy of honest love. You are worthy of a life that does not require you to disappear. You are worthy of becoming strong, focused, healed, disciplined, and deeply connected to your own purpose. And the moment you truly believe this, not only in your words but in your choices, you will stop chasing people and start building yourself with a power that no rejection can destroy. Because the person you were waiting for has finally arrived. Not from outside, not through someone else's love, not through someone else's apology, not through someone else's attention. The person you were waiting for arrives every time you choose yourself when it would have been easier to chase. Every time you protect your peace when it would have been easier to explain. Every time you build your life when it would have been easier to wait. And every time you look in the mirror and decide that you will no longer lose yourself for people who never knew how to choose you. That person is you. And from today, you do not chase anymore. You build, you heal, you rise, you become. And now, as this audiobook comes to an end, let this message stay with you long after the sound fades. You did not come this far just to keep chasing people who make you forget yourself. You did not survive silent battles, heavy nights, broken trust, unanswered prayers, lonely seasons, and painful disappointments just to spend the rest of your life begging for attention from people who do not know how to value your heart. You were not created to be someone's second choice, while your own life keeps waiting for you to return. You were not meant to keep shrinking your dreams, silencing your feelings, lowering your standards, and breaking your peace just to stay connected to people who only love you when you are easy to control. The greatest comeback of your life begins when you stop asking, "Why did they not choose me?" and start asking, "Why did I keep forgetting to choose myself?" Because that question changes everything. It brings your energy back home. It brings your focus back home. It brings your confidence back home. It brings your future back home. For a long time, maybe you gave your best love to people who gave you confusion. Maybe you gave your loyalty to people who gave you distance. Maybe you gave your patience to people who kept repeating the same pain. Maybe you gave your time to people who never truly respected the value of it. But from today, that version of you begins to fade. From today, you stop chasing. From today, you stop begging to be understood by people who were comfortable misunderstanding you. From today, you stop making your worth depend on someone's reply, someone's mood, someone's attention, or someone's decision to stay. From today, you stop treating your own life like a waiting room for people who come and go whenever they feel like it. You come back to yourself. You come back to your peace. You come back to your discipline. You come back to your purpose. You come back to the dreams you delayed while trying to keep the wrong people close. And this time, you build. You build your mind until overthinking no longer controls you. You build your body until strength returns to the way you carry yourself. You build your confidence until you no longer need constant reassurance from people who are unsure of themselves. You build your discipline until your promises to yourself become stronger than your excuses. You build your peace until drama feels unfamiliar and calm feels like home. You build your future until your life becomes too meaningful to abandon for temporary attention. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of the version of you that no longer runs after what keeps running away. This is the beginning of the version of you that knows love should not require self-betrayal. This is the beginning of the version of you that can care deeply without losing boundaries, forgive sincerely without reopening old doors, and love honestly without begging to be chosen. There will still be days when memories return. There will still be moments when loneliness speaks loudly. There will still be times when your old self wants to check, reply, explain, prove, return, or chase. But when those moments come, remember who you are becoming. Remember what it cost you to survive the old cycle. Remember how heavy it felt to keep giving yourself to people who never gave you peace. Remember that missing someone does not mean you must go back. Remember that feeling lonely does not mean you should lower your standards. Remember that one moment of weakness does not deserve to destroy the life you are trying to build. You are allowed to feel, but you are not required to return. You are allowed to care, but you are not required to chase. You are allowed to remember, but you are not required to reopen the wound. You are allowed to love people, but you are finally required to love yourself too. So let this be your promise. You will stop losing yourself for people who do not build you. You will stop giving your best energy to places that leave you empty. You will stop confusing emotional chaos with love. You will stop waiting for someone else to become the person who saves you. You will become that person. You will choose yourself in quiet moments. You will protect your peace when nobody understands. You will keep building when nobody is watching. You will trust your growth, even when it feels slow. You will stop apologizing for becoming stronger. You will stop feeling guilty for needing space. You will stop begging for seats at tables where your soul cannot breathe. And one day you will look back and realize that the moment you stopped chasing people was the moment your real life began. Because when you stopped chasing, you started seeing clearly. When you stopped losing yourself, you started returning to your truth. When you protected your energy, you protected your future. When you built in silence, you created a version of yourself that no noise could destroy. When you allowed the real you to breathe, the right people began to recognize you. When you turned discipline into self-love, your life started changing from the inside. And when you became the person you were waiting for, you finally understood that your worth was never in their hands. It was always inside you. So walk forward now with a quiet heart and a stronger mind. Do not chase what keeps draining you. Do not beg for what should be given with honesty. Do not wait for people to value you before you start valuing yourself. Build yourself so deeply that your peace becomes your power. Build yourself so honestly that your confidence no longer depends on applause. Build yourself so strongly that even if people leave, you do not leave yourself again. And if this audiobook touched your heart, subscribe for more powerful full audiobooks. Share this message with someone who needs to stop chasing and start healing. And write in the comments, "I choose myself first." Because from this moment forward, You are not chasing people anymore. You are building yourself. You are healing yourself. You are protecting yourself. You are becoming yourself. And the life you were waiting for begins when you finally stop running after others and start walking back to you.